Prophet Marshall Occurrence. So this video basically is going to be about the mind readers that you're dealing with. And I want to say this because it's a lot of Christians and spiritual people who go through it. And you're a Christian, but you don't have telepathy gifts, you don't have psychic gifts, but God allows you to hear thoughts in the spiritual world. You hear voices in the spiritual world. So we're going to clarify the difference between telepathy, mind readers, and psychics, and you as God's people who can hear the voices of men, the voices of people. And it's a difference. It's a difference. A lot of people might be in the spiritual closet. I'm gonna make a video about that. You're in the spiritual closet because you're more spiritual than most Christians, and you can't talk to them about it because they're gonna think you're a witch. They're gonna think you're a warlock. They're gonna think you need deliverance. You need spiritual deliverance. So you're in the spiritual closet because you're not telling everybody really how all your spiritual experiences. Because it's no room to do it in the American church. The American church is too formal and religious to talk about spirituality. So it's a lot of people who actually grow. They start fasting, they start growing, and then you don't have a spiritual awakening, you have a spiritual elevation. That's what we call it over here. And so on those levels, it's like a constant form of Zen or Nirvana. We have constant states of Zen and Nirvana and on God's side, which y'all might call Zen and Nirvana. I've looked up both of them, the states of Zen and the state Zen. And see, you can study this information when you're on the higher levels of Christianity, where it's not going to lead me astray. I'm not going to hear this information and decide to pick up some other practices. I'm not going to hear any information and change anything different in my spiritual practices because I'm too successful. And God is going to show you how successful you are. So why would I change anything? Why would I do anything differently? So you could look up the states of Zen, Zen, which comes from, I think, the Chinese community. You can look up Zen and see there's different states of Zen. It's not one size fits all. There's different definitions of it. There's different forms of it. Nirvana, Nirvana, you can look up Nirvana. I think there's different states of Nirvana too. But us as Christians, when we elevate, we experience whatever people are trying to communicate. And that's why, like I said, many of you hear thoughts, and we're able to hear the psychics, the telepaths, the mind readers having conversations and trying to communicate with our minds. See, they didn't know that we already was able to hear the voices of men before they tried to communicate with us spiritually. See, the problem with these people is that they think they're the only spiritual people. It's just as bad as and I just gotta be brutally honest. It's just as bad as the black community in the sense of the culture. Not I ain't talking about all black people. The black culture, where the culture thinks you got to come to them if you black and successful. If you're black and successful, you got to come over here. And see, it's the same thing with them in spirituality. These secret society people think, well, if you're spiritual, you got to come over here. You're going to be considered strange. You're going to be considered weird. You got to come over here with us. That's not the truth. See, God made and has his people over here in the lane that he created for them. I'm over here in the lane that God created for me. I don't have to collaborate with black culture or collaborate with psychics and telepaths. Key word, collaborate. I don't have to do that. Let's just ask yourself this. What do I get out of the collaboration? You get a lot out of the collaboration. You understand Christians. You get to see how we are. You get to see our level of spirituality. You get to, and I'm pretty sure you almost got like a borderline fetish for spirituality. I mean, I think they do. I think these so-called spiritual people, psychics or telepaths, mind readers, they got like a little fetish for spirituality. I don't have a fetish for spirituality. People are like, wait, hold up, wait a minute, you're a prophet. How you ain't got no fetish? How you gonna say that? Cause that's not how God made me. God made me to desire a relationship with him, not spirituality. I don't desire a relationship with spirituality. You see what I'm saying? And so I have a relationship with God. I don't have a relationship with spirituality. That's the difference, which is like a whole world of what you're experiencing. And see, the funny thing is they thought I was on the outside. They thought I was this person that had a little bit of what they have a lot of. And two, they realized that my position has changed the world. It has changed America. And I'm aware of it because that's what makes me spiritual. I'm going to be aware of my progress. I'm going to be aware of the writing on the wall, so to speak. So I'm always aware of my progress and what I'm doing, you know. So, you know, I'm here to shed light on you being able to read the minds of people and how you're not a telepath or a psychic. See, the difference between you and other people is you don't point your mind towards other people. You don't look to read the minds of people. You don't set out to do it. They set out to do it. And they could say they're more trained than us. We'll never be trained to the point where we try to read other people's mind. No, we ain't gonna ever be trained like that. So they'll play it like you have a gift, but you're just untrained. No, that's not true. Because God would never have us reading people's minds. Okay, this is how a prophet gonna tell you. No, God would never have you reading people's mind because it's too invasive. It's too invading for a human being that's on the same level of another human being as far as morality and imperfections. As long as you have the element of imperfection, you don't have spiritual legal right to read people's minds because your mind is just as messed up as the next person. So how would you be allowed to be in a position that you don't rank high enough, and you never will rank high enough to be in? You will never rank high enough legally, spiritually, to examine the mind of another person because you're dirty. Your mind is dirty, and and this is what we know: your mind is not perfect. It's not perfect, right or wrong. That's all I need to say. I don't care what it is that's on your mind. I don't care what it consists of. I know that you're a human being and your mind is not perfect, right? Right. So imagine God allowing a imperfect human being to read the mind of another person as if to judge it or to understand it in this condescending way, but you're just as flawed as that person. See, we understand humanity's position through imperfection. It's certain. This is how Satan got in trouble, because you can't go to certain levels because you don't rank high enough to go to certain levels. And that's what Satan does, is he try to go to levels that he don't deserve to be on. And that's what telepaths, that's what psychics, that's what divination is gonna do, that's what witchcraft is gonna do. They gonna follow right behind Satan and try to go on levels they're not authorized to go on. And so that's why these invading thoughts and these invading people are in these invading positions that are spiritually illegal, because they're doing the same thing that Satan does. You're not legally allowed to do it, and how I explain it is because you're flawed just as another person. So why would you be allowed to? It's not based on spiritual rank, it's based on perfect or imperfect. You're not perfect, right? So you could never be in that position. Only God can be in all these other positions of perfection. See, there's a lot of levels that only God knows because he's perfect. You see what I'm saying? So what happens is people begin to play God. Like as in to play God. You see what I'm saying? And they authorize levels of spirituality, just like Satan, illegally, where they play a position to read your mind and to read your thoughts as if they are God. It's an illegal position. Okay? Those positions, the positions to read minds would only be given to a perfect being that only has that will only have the right to do it, which is only God, the supreme being. I don't even have the right to do it. I hear thoughts that come to me for my protection. Now you as a Christian, you'll say, well then explain why I hear thoughts. Because God, the Holy Ghost, is revealing these thoughts to you for your protection. Think about it. If you got people around you playing games, right? God gonna let you know, right? Think about it. That's why he letting you know. That's why a lot of Christians are confused, and that's the only thing you'll see on the internet is Christians admitting that you can hear voices. You can hear voices, right? Okay. I've watched a pattern of what it means. You know what it means? While these other preachers can't talk about it, nobody can talk about it. It means that you are these voices are being revealed to you for your protection, so that you can adjust. Okay, you hear these people talking around you and watching you and acting like it's a fun game to play and watch your mind. All of that is being revealed to you for your protection. What I'm gonna be doing in 2026 is moving more forward into the spiritual aspect of Christianity, because I think that people think we're just religious people, and they don't realize we're the highest ranking spiritual people. It's just that we chose structures of religion, and Christianity could have been just total spirituality, and I don't think people believe that. Christianity could be total spirituality. The only thing they could compare it to was religion. Christianity is not religion. Christianity is the reality of God, man, and God's position, man's position, the satanic kingdom, everything. It's the awareness of the whole spiritual world, right? It's the full, it's the understanding of it. You understand? It's the reality of it and the understanding of it. And no other religion can teach you the real reality and the real understanding of the spiritual world. So that's what Christianity is. It's not a religion. That's the only thing man could compare it to. That's why it gets in the box of religion, and people are stupid enough to have structures of religion on Christianity. That's the stupidest thing you could do. You finally found the truth, a whole spiritual format that you decide to put religious boundaries and structures on. Hallelujah. You don't have to put no religious. Can I tell your church that you don't have to put no religious structures? See, that scares people, don't it? It scares you when I say that. You don't have to put no religious structures on Christianity. Now, if you decide to make these formal structures of religion where we're going to do this right now, we're going to do this, and we're going to have this. You can have a Bible study. Don't get me wrong. You can have a function of praise team. You can have a praise team. You can have Bible studies. You can have all that stuff going on. But make sure you realize Christianity is spiritual. You see the difference? See how it hit different? Okay, we can have a Bible study, but let's realize Christianity is 100% spiritual. We can have a praise team. Christianity is 100% spiritual. You can do your little music, but Christianity is 100% spiritual. Okay? Now, like I said, religion is the only thing they can compare it to. And some people were so stupid enough to put religious structures on spirituality. And you had it all right there. You had it from the beginning. And then you had to go through all the structures of religion to come right back to the starting point, which was embarking on a spiritual journey. Man, you should rewind that. Rewind that, buddy. Rewind that. Rewind that. You're going to come all the way back to the beginning point and realize that you should have been spiritual from the very beginning. And you know what? You're going to learn that in these times that we living in with all this witchcraft and all this satanic structures that you see in the community. These car convoys riding by, and car convoys doing in psychological vehicular satanic witchcraft formations, right? So they're using cars as vehicles for witchcraft. You walk down the street, you see all these car convoys, which is like fleets of cars. The proper term is car convoys, right? So these witchcraft people use car convoys down the street with gang stalking you, and they throwing witchcraft at the same time, and they're reading minds at the same time. They're bugged out, riding around, reading minds and throwing witchcraft. I guess you could say they're multitasked. And you didn't know they was multitasked. You need to become multitasked. Okay? When you see a whole bunch of cars, that's your enemy. That's witchcraft people in car convoys. I've been meaning to explain that term for some time. Satanic vehicular car convoys. Okay? That's what it is. Satanic vehicular car convoys. This is when you're in public and all these cars, and you notice fleets of cars. You noticed it. You notice car convoys, right? Did you notice that you started hearing the voices behind the car convoys? All these cars going by, you can hear the voices. Because God is revealing to you what they're talking about. They think they're hiding it from you. Listen, you at the top of the spiritual food chain. How you ain't gonna know what these people doing? You just afraid. You just are scared to talk about it because you think people gonna think you're into witchcraft. Are you crazy? Are you mental? So you hide your real spiritual essence. You don't come all the way out as a Christian, as a spiritual Christian, because you ain't seeing nobody else talk about it. How many times, this is how we know, how many times you done looked up your spiritual experiences on Google? How many times you done Googled spiritual experiences? All the little symptoms and all the little things, how many times you Googled all these different spiritual things that you experience? How many times you Googled it on YouTube? How many times you Googled it on Google? You got all these spiritual experiences and you're trying to find people that have the same spiritual experiences. Hearing things in your ears, rumbling in your ears, ringing in your ears. They call that tinnitus or something like that. Tinnitus or something. You know what I'm talking about. Now, you already know that term. You know why you know that term? because you experience spiritual experiences. You experience spiritual ringing in your ears, and the doctors, the information online tells you it's tendonitis, and you're already aware of that term. Even if I'm not properly pronouncing it, it's close enough for you to know what I'm talking about. You know exactly what I'm talking about, and you know why? You know, because you already looked it up. You already Googled it. Spiritual ringing in your ears. You didn't think it was a physical. You didn't think it was something physical. You knew it was spiritual by nature from the very beginning. So it's a lot of African people that's on the good side, but you can't talk about your spirituality to Christians. So you wind up being inquisitive about just spirituality over there with these other people, with the psychics and telepaths and mind readers. You wind up going over there because you don't have an outlet for your level of spirituality. You don't have nobody telling you about it. You don't have nobody trained in, because everybody's been suppressing it. Everybody's been suppressing it. And so you go to church, and church to you is not an outlet for your spirituality. In other words, you can't express your spirituality. You can't verbalize it, nor can you really express it, because they're gonna think you bugged out. So then you begin to just be a morally good Christian, and you have a little bit of spirituality, but the real fullness of what it is, you suppress it. And guess what? Through that suppression, you never understood it, because you just put it on the side, right? So, but if you would have just watched it long enough, you would have understood the patterns and understood what all the stuff meant. If you would have just let it be what it was, if you would just let your spirituality just come out. You didn't let it come out. You suppressed it, and you just chose the moral side of Christianity, like the politicians. The politicians don't choose the spiritual part of Christianity. Trump would tell you he's a Christian, but he's not spiritual. Trump is not spiritual. But he chose the religious structure of Christianity. And that's what politicians will do. Politicians will choose the religious structure of Christianity that just points to your morality of character. And it sounds good for a family and family values to just choose the moral part of Christianity without choosing the spiritual part of Christianity. So now you have people that's not even saved out here talking about they Christians, and they're showing you the moral part of Christianity, and you're now having to fight more than one structure of Christianity that has no spirituality. Now you got to fight the structure that's already in the church that just kind of show a little bit of spirituality, when it's a whole bunch. It's a whole world of it. That's what I'm trying to open you up to. It's a whole world of spirituality. It's almost forbidden in the church, because people will act like that's going into either one or two things: divination or witchcraft. So they just turn around, like driving the car. Oh, okay, I went too far. Let me turn around. And you begin to choose the political structure of Christianity, like Donald Trump holding the Bible in front of the church. You become one of them type of people, where you just really, Christianity is just about being a moral good person. It ain't about spirituality at all. But every human being has a certain level of spirituality, because we're all spiritual. So some people will understand spiritual insinuations and synchronicity, especially synchronicity. If you join the military or if you join the police force, you're going to understand. The first thing you're going to understand without being a spiritual person is synchronicity, where you line up with certain things. You line up, you're right on time, and it's weird to you, but you begin to learn that this means something, that I'm on time all the time. I look on the clock and it's a certain time, and you begin to realize the term synchronicity. The synchronicity is when you're right on time, right? You turn the corner and somebody's right there and it makes sense to you. And see, what a cop will do is begin to train himself in synchronicity where he catch the bad guys. Where he can't tell you how I knew. You see what I'm saying? And he began to fly in spirituality and synchronicity where they catch bad guys and they don't even know how, they begin to be trained in it. And people that's criminals won't tell you, I don't know how the cops caught me. Because they begin to master levels of synchronicity. Higher levels of spirituality that you don't know, where they can get, where they go beyond hunches. They go beyond hunches and intuitive feelings, and they begin to go on higher levels of mastery to where they can catch people doing stuff. Listen, that's a little too deep for you, ain't it? You know how I realized this? Because I realized myself. If I was a cop, I'd be right on time, like to catch this person, to catch that person, to catch this person, because you understand synchronicity. And see, synchronicity in this context is going to line up with people's karma. It's their karma. They done wrong, they get laid up like a fish on a dish. Okay, there we go. Because your karma put you in that situation where you were caught. But the bad thing about, well, I ain't gonna say the bad thing, but the thing about with the police is that they wind up doing the wrong thing. They wind up going the wrong way when it came to me. So now their synchronicity has become evil. Where you're now opposing with your synchronicity that you would use for criminals, you're using that for God's kingdom. Boy, that's good right there. That's 7 out. You're using the synchronicity that you once used, your intuitive nature, your intuition that you once used for criminals. Now you're using that. You've been manipulated by Satan to now use that against Christians. Man, listen. I could stop this video right now. If you're a spiritual person, you will have all kind of homework, man. All kind of homework from what I just said. See, what I'm going to be doing moving forward is showing you that as a Christian, it's okay to be totally spiritual. You're not a witch. You're not a warlock. You're not a witchcraft person. Because God made you totally spiritual. Man is spirit. How he or she is not going to have no connection with the spiritual world. Religion just suppressed it. This is why religion is one of the greatest enemies to spirituality. Woo. Ironically, religion, a structure of dry religion that's just for moral purposes, this becomes one of the greatest enemies of spirituality. Because what it's going to do in a Jedi mind trick is tell you it's going to limit what spirituality really is. It's going to limit all of it. It's going to address it and put it in a certain context where you don't never come back to it the same way that you naturally are inclined to do it when you first become aware of spirituality. Religion is going to put it in a certain context, and then you ain't going to come back to it with the same perspective until maybe years later, because religion has put it in a certain context. You notice Muslims don't talk about spirituality. Now, I'm not talking about those who have Muslim preference for religion and they spiritual, but they doing other spiritual stuff. No, I'm talking about because you got them type of people, right? Because everybody's spiritual. This is how you need to understand. Every human being is spiritual. This is where arrogant Americans who have spirituality make a mistake. Every human being is spiritual. They walk around like they the only ones that got it. Everybody is spiritual. But other people rank higher than others. That's why we explain, okay, as a prophet, I don't have to grandstand or flex. I'm a prophet. I don't have to flex spiritually. I don't have to do anything to make you aware of my level of spirituality. I don't have to do it, right? You learn the hard way. You mess around and find out. And so, but when you go to a religious church, this what happens is it puts spirituality in a certain minimized context and put guards around it and say, well, now you can't go, it's an insinuation. They might not tell you just like that, but they tell you, oh, you can't go that far. That's witchcraft. In other words, in most religious churches in America, if you go too deep in spirituality, they're telling you that's witchcraft. Because they're gonna tell you should be just thinking about Jesus. You should just be talk about Christian things. You should just be trying to preach to people and get people saved. That too. You shouldn't be worried about. You shouldn't be thinking about spirituality. Really. So what is discerning of spirits? Discerning of spirits is right down the lane of what I'm talking about. You thought you was on the highest level of it, but you suppressed your spirituality. That's why discerning of spirits is a joke. You on elementary. And that's why these people think they higher ranking than us, because you chose a religious structure of Christianity, and Christianity is totally spiritual. Totally. It's the path of following God. So what do you call it? It falls into a category of religion. With most human beings, they don't have the discipline to understand that there has to be a path to follow God, right? It got to be. Whatever that path is, most human beings are not going to be disciplined enough to not call it religion. Boy, that's it right there. That's a 7 out. They not disciplined enough to call it spiritual, not religion. Even though God is giving you these commandments, even though God is telling you things, that's what God is going to do. He's going to tell you to do stuff. That don't mean you in a religion, because God wants you to do stuff. Furthermore, it don't even mean you in a religion, because you're reading a book, a Bible. This is the concept of man, religion. Now, I can use certain terms to produce certain understanding. Like, for example, the word religion is in the Bible, right? But in this context, it's talking about, it's producing understanding, and I'm paraphrasing, to show you your position in your devotion to God and what you should be doing. Like it talks about pure religion is to visit the widows and things like that, right? Which is like what your devotion to God is using the word to produce certain understanding. That's how you know there was super master teachers back then, because they used certain terms that people would understand to produce understanding. Like, for example, I don't follow the religion of karma. That's what the Buddhists, right? Or something. It's a certain religion. I don't follow Buddha, or I'm not a Buddhist, right? But I can use, as a Christian, I still use the term of karma to produce understanding. The bottom line is this. Christianity is 100% spiritual because it's God's way. It's the spiritual journey. It's the real spiritual journey. Man made it religious. That's the problem. Now you see what I'm saying? I mean, how other way could God do it the way he did it? He got to talk to you. He got to send Jesus to die for our sins. All of that got to happen. But is that a religion? That's not a religion. Is Jesus coming and dying for you? Is that part of religion? You see what I'm saying, right? Is that religion, or is that just a real spiritual encounter? Is that real spiritual? That's 100% real spirituality. That ain't got nothing to do. That ain't a religion. Now you see what I'm saying? When I take all those religious perspectives that you have on the Bible, with perfect example showing you Jesus coming to earth. Jesus coming to earth, what is that religious? That's already spiritual. God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. That's already spiritual. What a religion that is in that? And that's the foundation of Christianity. God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whoever should believe in him should not perish but have everlasting life, right? All of that is spiritual. Everlasting life is not spiritual. Everlasting life is spiritual. Man, look, how can you be that close to all spirituality but not see it that way? You ain't gonna get no closer to spirituality with being a Christian. That you right there. But then what happens is people get deceived by the satanic kingdom to hold back the power, and now you got a religious structure. The devil's crafty. The devil knows, okay, if they become Christians, they're gonna be spiritual around here. They're gonna be doing all kinds of spiritual stuff. They're gonna be changing and altering the world in amazing ways. I gotta stop this. How do I stop it? Jesus is famous, for crying out loud. He's always gonna be famous. They're gonna be talking about the Jesus forever. How can I stop this? Because every generation is gonna talk about Jesus. So how can I stop this? Oh, I'll make it religious. I'll make being a Christian religious. Well, I'll extract all spirituality and they'll just be moral. They'll just be good moral people, but they'll have no impact spiritually on the community. And man will not choose to be moral. With all these vices and these women out here looking all like they looking, he's not going to choose to be moral, is he? So if it's just a matter of serving Christianity or being a Christian is based on morality, I'm going to win. You don't just get what I said. See, if I chose to be spiritual, if Christianity was spiritual and you looked at it like that, you're going to go into it. Because it's more than one reason. It ain't just, oh, I'm going to be a moral person. It's more than one reason. You're going to burn in hell if you don't choose God. That's spiritual too. People forget about hell, don't they? While you thinking that we serve Jesus Christ to be goody two-shoes, I'm not trying to burn in hell. See, in religion, you're not even taught about hell because that's a spiritual aspect of Christianity. You notice those moral Christians, you know what type I'm talking about. You ain't gonna never hear Trump talk about hell. Not too deeply. Not too deeply where if you don't live a certain way, you're gonna burn in hell. He ain't gonna say that. But then he gonna say he a Christian. Well, wouldn't you be talking about hell if you're a Christian? But that's too spiritual. You got the religious structure that the satanic kingdom gave the world where you don't talk about hell. See, you see the job the prophet got? You see the hard job I got? I got to dismantle religion. All the stuff you done got comfortable with. All the stuff your soul done got comfortable. The tastes of religion that you actually like. That you've grown to like. Because us as black people, we going to be funky. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? We gonna be in church and we still going to be funky. So then you going to like that funky religion. But you ain't got no spirituality with it. You like funky religion, but you ain't got no spirituality. So you get around black people, they can sing good, listen to them churches, them gospel singers gonna be singing good. No spirituality. Funky. Oh, they got the dance team now. These days, they got the little dance team. Women doing little dance, little flags and all this stuff. All kind of little stuff. They got, you see, that's black people. We gonna be funky with whatever we do. We do it long enough, it's gonna be funky. It's gonna have some black expression on it. In other words, It's gonna have some black energy on it, some black movement, right? And that right there is, listen, when they make it funky, you're gonna be like, okay, I like that. That's how I like my Christianity right there. You chose funk over spirituality. Oh, hold on. See the job the prophet got to do. You chose funk. You chose Christian funk over. You chose. That's true. That's real. You chose Christian funk over spirituality. Yeah. That's it right there. You chose Christian funk over spirituality. You like your preacher to hoop and holler. That's Christian funk. You know what I'm saying? That's black expression. He gonna come in there and he gonna do it his way like a black man. He gonna talk like you want to hear that black. You want to hear that blackness. You want to hear that blackness. Ooh yeah, down in his soul. That's what you saying. Ooh yeah, that coming from his soul right there, boy. Ooh yeah. Ooh, Red preached today, didn't he? You done got used to you done got used to Christian funk. Ooh, that's good, ain't it? Yeah, I like how that girl sang. I like. Yeah, you used to the Christian funk, right? Instead of songs of spiritual warfare telling you the truth. Some of this Christian rap is better than some of this gospel. You know why? Because they got more insight on the streets and what's going on in the spirituality. Okay, you can listen to a great gospel song. It's funk, Christian funk, right? Christian is black expression, in other words. But where is the spirituality behind it? Not just the anointing. In the words that's being said, how is it insightful in spirituality? In spiritual warfare? Oh, it'll talk about, God, the presence of the Lord and things like that. But you notice when you listen to all them gospel songs, you know the part that ain't feeding you? All this spiritual warfare going on. You need some spiritual warfare songs. Not the ones where we fight, but we don't hear nothing about what we talking about, what we feeling. So you start thinking like a rap, like these rap fans, I need to feel this. Yeah, I don't feel this. Because I'm going through real spiritual warfare and you singing these other songs that ain't got no insight on it. So it's almost like singing to a man that's going through war, and it's almost like almost sarcastic. You sing it to this guy like, yeah, we happy, but is this guy happy? He's going through gang stalking. How is he happy? You know what I mean? Come on. You go listen to another song that's talking about the gang stalking. Ooh, you instantly feel good. You breathe in, breathe out. Yeah, that's what I'm going through. You see the difference? That's what I'm talking about. That information just made you inhale, exhale, and sigh, a sigh of relief because of a point of relation where they could relate to you through understanding the spiritual warfare that you're going through. If you're gonna make gospel funk, at least put some lines in there where you talking about this spiritual warfare going on. I'm talking about the witchcraft. I'm talking about the telepaths, the mind readers, the psychics, and all this stuff. And see, that's how, that ain't really happy gospel writing right there as far as a songwriter, right? As far as a songwriter, how we gonna incorporate that? Where we saying, hey, happy, but the witch is over there. See, it don't work, do it? So it's almost like you got to create a whole new genre, a subgenre of gospel music where you talk about spiritual warfare. Listen, hey, I'm inventing something, man. That's an invention. A subgenre of spiritual warfare praise team talking about this witchcraft and these telepaths and these psychics and these gang stalkers. And that's put in the lyrics. It's understood through the lyrics. See, you chose, glory to Yahweh. You chose a religious structure of spirituality. That's the craziest thing you could do. That's how you know the devil did it. You ain't do it, the devil did it. Well, if you finally found the path for spirituality, but you made it religious, where now you extracted all the spirituality from it. That's the worst thing you could do. Because you're right there at the truth. You can't deny that it's the truth, right? So you can't deny that part. You know, and you feel a little something here and there. See, the devil don't mind that. Oh, you feel a little something here and there. He don't mind that. Oh, yeah. Feel a good little feeling. That's okay. That's going to keep you coming to this church if you feel a good little feeling. But you ain't going to go no further than that good little feeling. You ain't going to go no further than that. To talk about real spirituality, to talk about this real stuff going on. You know, the preacher ain't going to go no further than that. You're in a time that we live in that you need teachers to talk about the gang stalkers, the witchcraft, and the mind readers, and the psychics. Did you hear what I said? You're in a season in time where you can't have no structure of religion, where you need real people of God that ain't trying to fall in line with no Christian funk, and you just speaking from the heart. You got your own funk, and you speaking from the heart about spirituality, witchcraft, divination, and psychic energy, and tarot cards, and all this other stuff, the mediums, and all of that, and these different denominations of witchcraft, obeah, what the Jamaicans used, what the people in the island use obeah, voodoo, hoodoo. You learn the denominations. You don't just say witchcraft and you black. Why are you gonna be uneducated on what your own people doing? I know what my people doing. I know what black people doing. What black people doing? I'm asking you. Listen, let's slow down right there. Let's parallel park right there. What are black people doing? No, I ain't say white boys. I ain't say the gothic white boys wearing all black and painting they nails black. No, we ain't talking about them. See, the most black people, if you ignorant of it and your family ain't never been in it and you ain't never been around it and you ain't come from a city where it's all around. See, I come from a city where it's all around. I grew up hearing about roots and everything. Putting roots on people. I heard about that from a kid. So just to see, that's why we not scared of it in the South. And then the other people just shy away from it because you came from, you got two type of New Yorkers. Some people that shy totally away from that. And they black. They don't know nothing about it, right? And then you got those who might have family in it or whatever. You know, they got aunts and uncles in the witchcraft and everything. And they're in a whole different world than a lot of other black people. It's two different worlds. They know, their family came up in it. They know all about it. You know what I'm saying? And you know, they might not necessarily talk to their friends about it, especially in the past especially. These days, they're going to be more verbal about it and talk about it. You know what I'm saying? The youth or people that's educated on it in the black community and their family came up in it, they're going to be more verbal about it. You know what I'm saying? You know, but they live a different life than you as black people. It's a whole different lane of black people that practice hoodoo or voodoo or obeah, where they're conjuring up spirits. They're working rituals. I've watched warlocks create rituals, put different items together, put it all together. And listen, if you are a Christian that is scared to understand witchcraft, then you are handicapped concerning understanding witchcraft. It's not as simple as you think, and that's the first thing people gonna tell you. That's the one-on-one in witchcraft. It's not as simple as you think, right? Okay. So it's not just do a little spell and that's it. Now, if you don't say that to a Christian, that's all they think you're doing. That's all they think these people doing. And then black folks ain't gonna think that black people use witchcraft. Oh no, that's them white people. That's some crazy white people. Listen to that rock and roll. Hey, them crazy white boys be listening to that rocky roll. They listen to that rock and roll and that death metal, that heavy, that death metal. I know about that death metal. Hey, Christian gonna say, I know about death metal. That death metal, they be listening to that. I know, you didn't think I knew about that death metal, did you? And black people remain ignorant that they own people, because it ain't culturally taught. You know what is culturally taught? All black people love the Lord. All black people love the Lord. We good, see, we gonna go by what the culture shows us and what we see on in general, right? But those times have changed. What we used to see in general. What we used to see in general is good. And most wholesome black families believe in the Lord. They go to church. And when they go home, they drink like sinners. They smoke weed like sinners. See, there's a culture of black people that, we go to church, but we go home and smoke a blunt. We come home, we go to church. Yeah. I'm gonna come home, watch the game. Game gonna be on the Sunday. You know what I mean? I'm gonna we gonna have soul food. See, this is almost witchcraft in itself if you really listen. You know what I'm saying? We gonna go to church, we gonna come home, we gonna have soul food, we gonna have our liquor, we gonna have our spirits, we gonna smoke a blunt, and we gonna watch the game, we gonna be festive people at after church. It's almost like the counter after you just went to church. You gonna come home, you gonna watch the game, all this secular stuff on TV, you gonna drink, you gonna have a couple shots, you gonna get in the kitchen and start working up your food and everything, whipping it up while you took a couple shots. You might come in the door, take a couple shots when you get in. Yeah, get my liquor. The kids running everywhere. The kids gonna go play the game. They gonna go play the video games. Yeah, you don't care if the kids know. Hey, bring my liquor. Yeah. Give me 2 shots. Let me get 2 shots in me before I get started. Because you done had a good time in church. See, it's almost like the religious part of Christianity is almost like witchcraft. Ironically, the religious part. Because you're going to go to church, you're going to listen to, you're going to be like Marie Laveau. Marie Laveau went to Mass every day. But she worked witchcraft. But she went to Mass. The legend is she used to go to Mass every day. But I'm considering that's probably started around when she could use her own free will, which was when she was a teenager at some point. Okay, so, but Marie Laveau was not against Christianity. She went to a religious structure. That Catholicism is a religious structure. And then she left there and did what she wanted to do in witchcraft. So you see why I would say religion is very similar to witchcraft. Especially among black people. Because we going to go home, we going to have a couple shots, smoke some weed, and talk about the message, talk about God too. Witchcraft people going to do the same thing. If you don't know, witchcraft people in the black community, they going to drink, smoke a blunt, and talk about God. Oh yeah, God is real. See, what you thinking is that you thinking you're not familiar with the different denominations of witchcraft. Black folks gonna talk about God. Yeah, they gonna mention God. Even those who work witchcraft, they ain't gonna say I hate God. They ain't gonna say that. That's usually the white folks that work witchcraft. They go into these little strange, weird places. That's their denomination. So every denomination of witchcraft is not the same. You understand? So if you hear the language of talking about God and everything, you can't let your guard down. You can't let your guard down for non-white people. That's even Hispanic and Latinos. They're going to talk about God too. But they work witchcraft. They work Santeria, Brujeria, the brujos and the brujas. See, you thought I was an amateur. Okay? So when it comes to black people, they gonna work hoodoo, which is low country voodoo. That's what most African Americans are gonna use. Most black people is gonna use. Okay? They gonna use hoodoo with an H. It sounds like voodoo, but see, some Christians don't even know what it is. Hoodoo is basically when people talk about putting roots on you. Somebody put roots on you. That was hoodoo the whole time. If you don't know, because we didn't use no formal terms back then. We said root, working roots, the root doctors. You know, that's what we say. We didn't even say witchcraft. We say working roots. You know, that's the word we use in the South where I come from in the Carolinas. In the Carolinas, we say, y'all say informally up here, put a root on a person. We don't say put a root on a person. We say put roots, plural, more than one. They put roots on that person. As a kid, I used to hear that all the time. People putting roots on people. People putting roots on that person. That's how you know you've been around real Africans. See, but if you haven't, you don't know nothing about it. People talking about putting roots on people. You don't even know what that means. And then you grow up and you realize what denomination of witchcraft that was. That was hoodoo the whole time. That wasn't voodoo. No, that was hoodoo. Hoodoo is what most, if you don't, listen, the most famous denomination of witchcraft for black people is hoodoo, not voodoo. Voodoo is with the Haitians. Not saying that black people can't use it. They can use it, but they prefer, especially now these days, they prefer usually to work hoodoo. Okay, and then you got shamans and all of that, you know. But let's just stay more. Let's just talk about the denominations of witchcraft for the moment before we get into like the practices and in the rituals or whatever. Besides that, let's talk about the different denominations. That's the first 101s is to understand these different denominations. Black people, most in America, in the United States of America, have millions of people that work hoodoo. Millions. I need to open your mind up because you think it's 10 people. Well, black people, we love the Lord. Not these days. Not these days, little bruh. These days, little bruh, they work at hoodoo. And they don't, and with the denomination of hoodoo, they don't allow white people to come into it. You will find most hoodoo practitioners are very fierce when it comes to keeping non-African people with no African ancestry, which Hispanic and Latino still can work hoodoo because they feel like they have some African ancestry. But as far as Europeans to most people who work hoodoo here in America, they don't allow them to use it. That's from what I heard. This is hearing it from people that work it. So you got scared of these people. That's why you remain ignorant, and I don't. You know, because I sat down and listened to them. The type of person I am, I'm a prophet. I'm gonna listen to everybody. I ain't, no pun intended, I ain't Ozzy Osbourne, but I'm gonna listen to everybody. I listen to preachers. I listen to fools. I listen to dropouts who make their own rules. Crazy. Okay, I'm gonna listen to preachers. I'm gonna listen to fools. I'm gonna listen to these people that work. See, the people that even listen to Ozzy Osbourne forget that line. He said, "I listen to preachers." They ain't gonna listen to that part because they too gothic. They hate Christians too much to realize what he just said. He said, "I listen to preachers. I listen to fools. I listen to dropouts who make their own rules." I mean, you as a Christian should be doing the same thing. I listen to preachers. I listen to preachers. I listen to fools. I listen to dropouts who make their own rules. Okay? I listen to preachers. I listen to fools. Okay? I listen to dropouts who make their own rules. I don't know why the melody got away from me right there. But you already know what I'm talking about. Towards the end, it kind of got away from me. But because I'm a real singer, I hit the real notes, you know. But anyway, Ozzy Osbourne was talking about listen to preachers, listen to fools. You got to be able to listen to people that I don't agree with these people, but I'm going to listen to them. I'm going to listen to the preachers. I'm gonna listen to these hoodoo people, these witchcraft. That's what I don't agree with, but I'm gonna listen to them. I'm gonna listen to them. When I listen to them, hoodoo people, these black people that use hoodoo, they say they don't agree with white people using hoodoo because you got to talk to the ancestors, right? So the whole thing is with hoodoo, the denomination of hoodoo is communicating with the ancestors, right? So the only way I would know this is I listen to them. I listen to preachers. I listen to fools. I listen to people who practice hoodoo. I listen to all of them. Okay, I listen to this person that practiced hoodoo, and they were saying they don't believe that white people can practice hoodoo because they don't have African ancestry. So who they gonna be talking to? Basically, they ain't gonna be talking to the same ancestors that hoodoo practitioners talk to. They ain't gonna be talking to the same people. They ain't gonna be talking to the same people. So then they don't feel like they can work hoodoo. Okay? Now, a person of African descent can go between hoodoo, voodoo, and obeah. You know, it's not, you can do either one, a combination of all of them. Now with voodoo, that comes from the Haitians. Okay? In voodoo, you got 4 types of masters. A master of fire, water, earth, and air. That's 4 different masters. I know this. I listen. Like Ozzy Osbourne. I listen to preachers. I listen to fools. I listen to people who work voodoo, hoodoo. I listen. I listen to preach. I listen to preachers. I listen to fools. I listen to dropouts who make their own rules. Okay, so in voodoo, you got 4 masters. 4 masters. Usually, how I was told is that in voodoo, people work one of the 4 elements and become a master of it, which means if you work voodoo, you're gonna be a master of either fire, air, a master of fire, a master of air, a master of earth, a master of water, and you master that element. And I'm guessing in your rituals, I'm guessing in different various forms, and how this person told me that was a Haitian is how it goes is that usually a practitioner is going to only master one of the elements of fire, water, air, or earth. That's voodoo. In New Orleans, black people use voodoo. Voodoo is more in New Orleans, but voodoo ain't really in Charlotte, where I come from in North Carolina. Hoodoo is in Charlotte. Hoodoo is in the Carolinas because that's where you get Dr. Buzzard. Dr. Buzzard, the original Dr. Buzzard, was from St. Helena Island in South Carolina, right? Okay, so most people in the Carolinas is going to use hoodoo. So if I'm not one of those people that don't listen to other people. I listen to other people, but I just don't choose to follow what they talking about. But I know about. I've watched people do hoodoo. I've watched them do it. the rituals and everything. I sit there and watch. And I listen to the hoodoo practitioners talk about fighting other witches. Something that people don't know. Fighting each other. They fight among each other. They put witchcraft on each other, what they call work. They put work on each other, right? So I'm like updating myself to like the young warlocks, the dudes with the fitteds, the sporty clothes. See, I'm that advanced. I don't, I have seen people that work hoodoo that wear clothes just like me and you. They gonna wear fitteds, designer clothes, Gucci, Louis Vuitton, all that kind of stuff. In fact, that's what they're gonna be going after. They're gonna be going after the best designer clothes and everything like that. So then, if you're behind as far as if you're elementary as far as how these people look, you're gonna be blindsided to realize, okay, some of these hoodoo practitioners look earthy. They got dreads. They look cool. They got gold in their mouth. They got nice clothes, nice cars, everything. You're gonna think a black person gonna think, cause you're on elementary levels, this person don't work no witchcraft. That's a good little dude. Good little dude, huh? That's a good little dude. You're basically you look at stereotypes of voodoo, hoodoo, black magic, or witchcraft. You look at the stereotypes where people got the pointy black hats and the witch with the one tooth at the bottom, and she got the green face, green face witches. You remember that? Remember that on back in the day when Americans used to practice Halloween and the witches had the green face. Yeah, man. That's your idea of a witch. A witch can be beautiful, look good, smell good, got her hair together, got her hair did, got lipstick on, looking good. Ain't wearing no black, got nice colors on, got these vibrant colors on and everything. Matter of fact, they probably will have these vibrant colors on. I'm trying to show you how people really think that work witchcraft over there. Okay? And if you don't know how they think, if you don't really know how they think, right, you gonna be you don't know how they dress and carry themselves. You can have witches right in front of you and don't know. I don't go by that no more because I've watched so many different people. I go by your movements. I just go by see, that's how you know a person is spiritual. You know what I'm saying? I don't go by how a person look. I go by. I'm so experienced with detecting witches and warlocks that either God is gonna show me, or I'm gonna see a movement that God shows me, like a movement or something, like some little mind trickery. That's a witch. That's gotta be, and a witch or a warlock. It's always these movements. You know what I'm saying? You watch the movements, and that's how you really understand. You know what I'm saying? They can use anything, like even them sirens. That could be, if a witch is behind it or a warlock is behind it, they can use it as a form of witchcraft. You just gotta know. You gotta get advanced with understanding how they manipulate everything that they use, everything that they interact with. A witch or a warlock is going to use against you. Leaving a light on, closing a door, leaving an item, something that you would think a human being would just. They gonna manipulate everything to where their movement is all about cursing you. Everything they do. Down to everything they do. They put out an item, they take away an item from you. Okay, you think that's normal. Okay, somebody just took something from my... Anytime I find something missing, I denounce whatever that was taken. I denounce it. So I cut the energy behind it because I don't long for it. So as long as you're longing for it, something that a witch took from you or stole from you, or a warlock stole from you, as long as you're longing for it, your soul is still connected to it. Think about it. You still putting out vibration from the thing that was missing. So you have to dead it. You have to say I don't want it no more. I don't care about it no more. It's gone. And I denounce it. I denounce every item that's taken from me. Because that's what a witch is going to do. That's what a warlock is going to do. That's what they're going to command others to do, is to take something from you and they can put it on the altar and curse you like that. Okay? So anytime you got something missing, you know, and you already detect that there's witchcraft around, somebody stole it from you so they could curse you, could put it on the altar. Who knows what kind of ritual they're doing with it? They might put it in the container and with all kind of other stuff. Who knows? You know, but you do know they're going to use it in witchcraft, most likely. Anything stolen from you. So you have to denounce it. You denounce it. You denounce the item that was taken from you. You dispossess. That's the word I'm looking for. You dispossess. You don't possess this no more. You say, I dispossess this item that was stolen. So it's not of you anymore. It's not of your essence anymore because you dispossessed it. You're not saying, oh, I wish I had it. 5 months later, I wish I had that. You know, now they still got a line of emotional connection to that. You still kept it alive. And so they have now you see what I'm saying? They have an emotional connection, an emotional line that's connected to you because you keep longing for those things that they stole. Once it's gone, it's gone. You go replace it. You don't talk about it no more. That's what it is. Going off the rails on a crazy train. Okay, you gotta learn, man. Like, you gotta learn. Don't be afraid to see what these people are doing. I didn't come out thinking about using witchcraft. I didn't get deceived. No demons jumped me to make me get into witchcraft or anything like that. I never had and then I didn't walk away feeling like I wanted to use it either. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm successful as a spiritual person over here. I'm at the top of the food chain over here. So man, for most spiritual people, you're going to have to get into understanding what's being done against you. You got to look around. If you stay in the Indian neighborhood with Indians, then they're using some form of Indian witchcraft. This is how you need to understand it. Every race of people use a form of witchcraft. Every race. There's no race that don't use it. Okay? Every race uses it. Because you got to realize every race goes back into ancient times. And every race goes back into the ancient times. And every race has some form of witchcraft, because that's how the devil is. He gonna come down to every race and deceive every race and give them a form of witchcraft, right? That's what he does. That's what he did. He already done it. So every race of people, if you go and talk the right language, you're gonna find witchcraft in every race of people. I don't care who it is. That's how you gotta understand it. So if you're in an Asian neighborhood, Chinese neighborhood, you're gonna think, oh, the Chinese people don't use no witchcraft. Yeah, they do. That's when you get the term woos, a woo, which is a wizard. See, I'm educated, buddy. The woos are the Chinese wizards, the Chinese witches and warlocks, the woos. Okay? So I'm already fasting against the Chinese woos, and I'm already doing it. I'm supposed to. Once I realized the whole world and I educated myself on all the different denominations, you can't just say, I rebuke witchcraft. See, an American Christian gonna say, I rebuke witchcraft. And the truth is, that I gotta be brutally honest, you're really not that high ranking to just rebuke witchcraft and it leaves like that. It's not gonna work. You've been taught by certain American preachers that you got the rights to you got the power to rebuke it. You got the rights to rebuke it. You got the rights to rebuke it, but you don't have the authority to rebuke it. You don't have the spiritual power yet. You have the potential to do it. If you go down your spiritual journey, you can rebuke it when you grow in spiritual power. But you can't do it on a low level. Most likely, no, you're not. You're going to be like the disciples who asked Jesus Christ, the Messiah, why couldn't we cast out the devil? And Jesus is going to tell you, Jesus told them they can come out by nothing but fasting and prayer. You have to live a lifestyle of fasting and prayer. Okay? You have to live a lifestyle of fasting and prayer. That's what's going to make you be able to, defeat these spirits and authorities, these satanic authorities. That's why they can't beat me, because I work spirituality. I work real spirituality. I teach using spirituality, and I'm not apologetic about it. I'm not using witchcraft. I'm not using divination. I'm on God's side, but I understand how to. I've advanced and matured in my mastery of spirituality to understand I can fight witchcraft. Your fight is only I rebuke it. That's it. That's all you do. And you're not high ranking enough to really rebuke it. No, you're not. You need to go into the different denominations of witchcraft. Okay? Every race of people got it, including white people. They got Wicca, and all of that. They got pagan forms of witchcraft and everything like that. They got New Age. They got pagan forms of witchcraft and Wicca. They got Wicca, and then, there's other forms of white American witchcraft. I've covered them all. Like I said, with the Asians use it too. The Indians, Native Americans. The Native Americans use witchcraft too. Not all of them, but some of them do. In fact, some African American witchcraft and black people that work witchcraft use some of the practices of Native American witchcraft within their craft. Okay, so some people that use hoodoo use forms of Native American witchcraft. Okay, so the first thing you got to understand with the one-on-one with understanding enemies in witchcraft is understanding that every race. There is no innocent race when it comes to witchcraft. There's nobody that you just look to them and, oh, they look nice. They look like nice people. They probably will never work witchcraft. Somebody among them do. I don't care what race it is. The Cubans, the Puerto Ricans, I don't care what it is. Every race has a form of witchcraft, and black people do too. See, the way it gets tricky with black people, because see, like I said, culturally, we are in Christianity as a culture. Most black people gonna shun away from witchcraft. That's white boy stuff to black people. That's white people stuff. You talk long enough with black people, they gonna mention white people. Oh, well, that's what white people do. If they ignorant, you know what I'm saying? They gonna say that. If you're ignorant, you ain't gonna know all these black people that use witchcraft and how they use it. You ain't gonna know your own people is using witchcraft in your family or in your community against you. Because you blinded by the cultural perspective that black people go to church. And many of them do. And they live the way they want to live. In a average black family, they gonna put Jesus Christ as their preference for a religion. But it's just that. It's just a religion. Jesus became a center point for some other religion that they don't find their spiritual journey and find their spiritual way on, right? They don't find their way on this journey. But they use Jesus as a center point of their preference for religion. Just like the Catholics. The Catholics use Jesus Christ, the Messiah, as a center point. And so many black people do the same thing. They use Jesus Christ as a center point for their preference of religion, even though they don't live a Christian life. But Jesus Christ is a preference, a religious preference, right? Okay. So with that being said, you go to the average black person, they're going to talk about God a little bit. They gonna say Jesus did something for him, but that he didn't do because they ain't never had no relationship with Jesus. They gonna talk about God from their perspective. They ain't gonna talk about the devil. They ain't gonna talk about witchcraft and all of that. No, most black people ain't gonna do that. So then that's what's gonna blind you from what you've seen culturally, and you ain't gonna realize it's thousands of people working witchcraft in the black community. Okay, it's millions. I think it's millions. I think it's millions. I think it's a solid million. You know, and they're all using a craft of hoodoo. You know, for black people, that's their preference. It's hoodoo, right? Where they talk to the ancestors. They communicate with the ancestors. But see, in my case, the ancestors, listen, I don't follow hoodoo. But let's say in the case, though, let's go into their world without me following it, right? Or me agreeing with it. They can talk to the ancestors, and the ancestors ain't going to agree with what they're doing against me. The ancestors ain't going to agree with it. It don't matter what you talking about. They going to look at what all you did, and I'm a black man myself, and you ain't have enough right and evidence to do anything against me, and you going to have your ancestors in the form of witchcraft angry at you. Ain't no way in the world you're going to justify that to the ancestors. And then I'm from North Carolina, too. Oh, you forgot that part. I'm not from Indiana. I'm not like Michael Jackson. I'm not from Gary, Indiana. I'm not from Gary, Indiana. Indiana, huh? I'm not from Gary, Indiana, man. Indiana, huh? I thought he was from Gary, Indiana. I thought he was from Gary, Indiana. I thought he was from Gary, Indiana. Hey, man, look. Hey, look. I'm from North Carolina. You should already know, spiritually, I'm a problem. I'm from North. That's just like saying I'm from New Orleans. Charlotte is right below New Orleans when it comes to all that hoodoo and all. The only reason we're not as we don't have as much witchcraft in our community is because voodoo. Witchcraft in general. Why I didn't really go to the next level is because of Christianity in North Carolina. And all the Baptist churches and all of that. And you know, being that New Orleans and Louisiana is down there where the Haitians at, that's how voodoo really just took off and took root. You know what I mean? That's what really did it in a roundabout way. It was really voodoo that took off with the Haitians and everything, and that just formed a whole culture of it that then began to get respect and legend. And it just took off like that. But in the Carolinas, we got, as far as hoodoo, if you work witchcraft, you're gonna know about Dr. Buzzard. And Dr. Buzzard was in the Carolinas. You know, South Carolina. I got family from South Carolina. I used to go to South Carolina as a kid. So, you know, you gotta remember, North Carolina and South Carolina are not one and the same. They're not one in the same. You know, not even spiritually. South Carolina, I would say, would be probably a little more spiritual, especially as far as witchcraft go. Oh yeah. You got Dr. Buzzard that comes from St. Helena Island in South Carolina. Okay, so then see, we become more like the Carolinas in general, the Carolinas, North and South Carolina, the Carolinas is the center point for hoodoo. Voodoo in America would be Louisiana, New Orleans. But as far as hoodoo, that's right there in the Carolinas. Now you see, not Georgia, not Kentucky, not even Tennessee. the Carolinas, and this is why, because the Carolinas is they're a coastal states, right? So all the West African slaves were coming right on the coast. That's just common sense. That's why we became the mothership for black people in general, because it's common sense that the West Africans will come into a coastal state, which would be the Carolinas. This is how I'm gonna convince you that the Carolinas is just the mothership for all black people. The most slaves in history was in the Carolinas. That was in South Carolina, and they used to call this man the king of rice, because he was that's the main thing he was working, not just cotton. It was different things they worked. It wasn't just no like even in Haiti they used to harvest the sugar cane. I'm thinking so you know, you got to just be educated on the different things that the slaves actually harvest, if you will. But John Ward was the slave owner that had the most slaves. John Ward, W-A-R-D, Ward. John Ward had the most slaves. He was called the king of rice, the rice king, or something like, you could say that, the rice king, the king of the rice king, or something like that. The most slaves, in other words, besides all the movies you've seen, the most slaves was in the Carolinas. Not Louisiana, not Alabama. See, all those deep South places. Me being from Carolina, if I was given a multiple choice question, where did all the most slaves come from? I would have chose Louisiana or Alabama. So not Florida. I might wouldn't have chose Florida. I might have thought about Florida, but I would have chose like Louisiana, because it got that deep South feel. Those geographics, man, it's still kind of like just like this deep South energy and this deep South geographics. I would have thought the most slaves was down there, right? And just the trees they had, the sleeping willows, those sleeping willow trees, all of that add to it. I don't know, man. You know, that's the movies. You know what I'm talking about? Mississippi, oh, that's another one. I would have thought I might have went with Mississippi if you would have said where were the most slaves on one plantation? On one plantation, who had the most slaves on one plantation? I might have would have said Mississippi. I might have would have went with that. I might have would have went with Mississippi or Louisiana. I wouldn't have thought Georgia or Florida or Tennessee or even the Carolinas. I wouldn't have thought that, because we're influenced by these movies that show us these deep South images. And you don't think with these sleeping willow trees and these big plantations in the Louisiana, you know what I mean? You know what images I'm talking about. You gonna think, oh well, the most slaves probably were down there somewhere, Mississippi somewhere, you know. But particularly Louisiana with all them sleeping willow trees and all of that, man. All them big old plantation houses and things with the Victoria styles on them. You gonna think that's where all the slaves was at. Nope. All the most slaves on one plantation was in South Carolina. In South Carolina, that's where it was at, man. You know, so what that tells you, that most of the ancestors came from down there in South Carolina, in the Carolinas. If they had the most slaves, think about it. They was producing all those African ancestries, all those African bloodlines were produced down there. Okay, the slaves were having children. They were having, so you got the most slaves on one plantation. I mean, come on, put it together. So that's why, you know, I'm just very aware, you know what I'm saying, of those things. So that's how we got hoodoo in the Carolinas, because the West Africans were coming to America in the Carolinas, right? And they were using forms of witchcraft that they was using in West Africa. That's why people don't believe that people can work hoodoo and they're not African, of African descent. So, so that's why we're right there. My point is, that's why we're right there with being as spiritual as New Louisiana, because of hoodoo having its origins in the Carolinas. And just all the Africans that were in the Carolinas. That's how we, especially as far as black witchcraft, we're going to be right there. And I don't think people really realize that, because when you think about witchcraft, you're going to choose Louisiana because of voodoo and then the whole culture that was built around it. But what the Carolinas did, instead of going with that, we went with Christianity. That's what we did. New Orleans went with more like a blend between Christianity and voodoo, and the Haitians were more consistent with the voodoo coming there, being distinguished with it, having a distinguished practice, more sophisticated practice than hoodoo, and it was more precise and everything, and that created a culture. See, hoodoo, it was done, but it wasn't as precise as a craft as voodoo. You know what I mean? And so then with time, as you can imagine, it just spread like wildfire in New Orleans. And so it became more of a real culture. Now in Charlotte, you have people that don't even use the right, or the Carolinas, in certain parts, they won't even know about hoodoo. See, it's named after voodoo, so what that tell you? Hoodoo is low country voodoo. That is just a play on the word voodoo, but it wasn't there in the beginning. They didn't get the name without voodoo, So what that tells you? Voodoo was more of a culture. Voodoo is more of a culture here. And being that it was down there in New Orleans, that's what put them over the top as far as being like one of the places with the most spirituality, witchcraft, all that kind of stuff. It's always gonna be like that. It's always gonna be like that. That's never gonna change. My point is that Charlotte is one of those cities very similar, not close, but a city of witchcraft that a community of the Carolinas in general. I mean, the whole Carolinas. If you just put it up collectively, it's a city that, it's a community. It's two states that has a lot of witchcraft in it. I grew up around people talking about roots and putting roots on people and stuff like that. It wasn't uncommon for me to hear about it as a child. So I'm one of those children that grew up hearing about witchcraft, So with that being said, that's why we're not afraid of it. I think some white Americans and even some black Americans might expect you to be spooked by the appearance of witchcraft, or even talking about it. But if you come from the South, you heard about it your whole life. And see, that's the part of Southern culture, that being in the South, that many people here in New York, black people up here, may not have heard about it. Your family got to be around it, or you got to know somebody involved in it. You know what I'm saying? Something like that, or somebody got to stick out to you in your community that uses it. But if not, you could go in the big cities, any city, even Midwest, Detroit, Motown, everything. You could go through certain cities as a black person, not hearing about any forms of hoodoo or voodoo, or obeah, which is Allen witchcraft. You could go your whole life not taking that seriously, or not knowing anything about it, or not being educated about it. And so therefore, by the time somebody's using it on you, you're spooked. You're spooked on a whole different level. Cause I mean, you get a certain age, you might, if you're not spiritual, you're gonna have a level of superstition, and superstition mixed with voodoo, it's gonna amplify everything. If you happen to get cursed or witchcraft or witches or warlocks are after you, and you're just a superstitious person, it's gonna mess you up worse, because it's gonna be real. It's gonna be real, and you're going to mixed with your superstition, your natural inclination to be superstitious as a human being in American culture, just in general, people can be superstitious. Mixed with that, they can drive you crazy very easily. Because it's gonna be amplified. Everything they do is gonna be amplified, and you ain't gonna know how to gauge it. You're gonna think it's gonna be way worse than it really is. Witchcraft is not way worse than it really is. They really can't really do as much as they wield around that they can do. That's what I've noticed. I will also note that is that most witchcraft people can't do what you might think they can do. Like kill somebody, curse your life, put sickness on you, just cause all kind of bizarre things to happen to you. That's your superstition is gonna think every little thing is them, every little thing. You know what I mean? And see, that's the worst kind. But for them, that's the best kind, because they gonna be running around like a chicken with their head cut off. No pun intended. And you're gonna be exaggerating and amplifying everything. That's why even with the gang stalking community, I could go real deeper into it, me just being a researcher person, but me being spiritual, I feel like they're gonna be more superstitious about what's happening, every little thing. I don't believe everything they talk about. I do know that they do certain things, but all this other little stuff, I don't know if I believe all of that. And so it can throw your mojo off in spiritual warfare for you to start listening to people that's talking about gang stalking, but they're not spiritual people. They're not Christians. So I only really listen to Christians when it comes to this gang stalking, because they're right on, they're precise, and they're not bugged out about all this stuff. They're not bugged out about it either way it go. And they're fighting back effectively. Okay, so I dip and dab for educational purposes to people that talk about gang stalking, because they still can give me some little education. I'm all about that. I'm all about eating the meat and spitting out the bones. I'm all about eating the meat and spitting out the bones. You got to learn to do that in life. You know what I'm saying? You can get something from listening to these witchcraft people or something like that. You ain't got to be entertainment, but you can get something from what they talk about. You can get educated. I've gotten educated, and I'm a lot more effective. The true test of your spirituality is you can venture into all this stuff, and don't be superstitious. Back to being superstitious, where some of these preachers think if I just turn on a voodoo video, it'll put cursings in this atmosphere. Really? You're supposed to be more powerful than that. It ain't gonna affect my atmosphere. But you got those type of people. I don't even want that in here. You don't turn that on, and it don't have a Bluetooth. Don't turn all that voodoo stuff on all through my Bluetooth. Got that going, amplifying all in the rooms, and people are superstitious, man. If you are spiritual, that's not going. That is not going to do nothing to your atmosphere. And if you feel it is, all you got to do is rebuke it and counter it right after you get done. And you're going to be right back to normal if you're really high ranking. Now, if you're not, if you're not really seeking God, well, you could be subject to some things happening to your atmosphere. You could be. Yeah, you could. But if you really serving God, then your atmosphere gonna be good. I went and watched a lot of stuff about witchcraft, these hoodoo people and these voodoo people, and one thing you're gonna learn is they're normal people, just like everyday people. You need to go listen to see how they talk. They talk just like normal people. They got dreams, they got aspirations, all kind of stuff. They like Gucci, they like Louis Vuitton. All the stuff you into. See, if you don't do that, especially as a black person, you're gonna have all these images from Hollywood, and that's what's gonna spook you too, and that's what's gonna make you exaggerate the situation when you're dealing with spiritual warfare. Go listen to them people talk. They gotta deal with their own people. They gotta deal with other people that work witchcraft, trying to curse them too. They're not like a unit like we are. Like as Christians, we kind of, for the most part, we together. We ain't gonna be against another Christian. You know what I mean? That's a real Christian. We know they're a real Christian. We ain't gonna just be against a real Christian. You know what I'm saying? We might disagree with them, but we ain't gonna just be against them. Like over there on the dark, on in the witchcraft side, I've heard a warlock talk about cursing another warlock and all of this and everything, and these challenges, like just like American people challenge each other on YouTube and on these videos and all, talk a joke about each other on the videos. They do the same thing. And they be wearing fitteds, hats, nice hats, everything. They look normal. If you don't know that, and then some of them be talking about God. This is the part that I didn't expect. Some of them be talking about Jesus Christ. Like they'll make a video talking about Jesus, but it'll be warped. You know what I'm saying? With this warped sense of reality based on they spirituality. You know what I'm saying? But you will be surprised what you see that's what I saw when I went over there. Many people that work witchcraft is not going to deny the reality of God and Jesus Christ the Messiah and the Holy Ghost. Well, they might not know about the Holy Ghost. True story, man. So I met this dude named Victor, right? And this dude was from Honduras, which is one of the most dangerous countries in the world. This dude was into martial arts, I think jitsu, everything. And he told me openly that he was into voodoo. He told me openly. And I told him, well, I believe in Jesus Christ. I believe in God. He said, me too. And he told me that he seen spirits around me, good spirits around me, like that, right? And he told me that he seen like a strong African energy or something like that around me, or something to that effect. He said something like, no, you have African, because I told him I have many different ethnicities, and I do. I just couldn't talk about it intelligently until I got my DNA. Now I know all my different ethnicities. I know all my bloodlines, But he was like, no, I was telling him something what I thought I had in my blood. He was like, no, I sense like something like African. You're like an African strength, or some word he used behind African to reflect African strength, But this dude worked voodoo, and I told him I was a Christian. I believe in Jesus Christ. I said that right in front of him, and he was like, we was like in a hotel room, and he was like, yeah, but I work. We was in a motel room. He was like, I work. He's into voodoo. He said, I believe in Jesus Christ. Me too. So they believe in Jesus Christ. He knew I was high ranking. He knew. So I've been around somebody that, and this is not an American. This wasn't an American person. This person had a nice car, everything, and this wasn't just some random guy talking about he works voodoo and there's no signs of. With somebody that's high ranking in the arts, you're gonna see signs of money, success, things like that. This dude had money to spend, and car, and all of that, man. That's what you expect. That's what you expect with someone that's a successful practitioner in witchcraft. You expect success. That's the truth. In the material world, you expect material success. Because that's what it's all. Ultimately for themselves. That's what it's all about. They gonna try to manifest prosperity and materialism That's common sense, right? So so I've actually met someone that worked voodoo. You know what I mean? And so that's why I'm just less. I would never be spooked like the average person because I've interacted with people that did it. You know what I'm saying? I've communicated with a witch before, that worked hoodoo. I've communicated to a witch before in my life. So I've talked to a real witch before. You know what I'm saying? And I talked to her, a black witch. She was a black woman. She was the real thing. Like, she talking just like how I'm talking, the same inflection of my voice, how I'm just kind of calm or cool. This is just how she was talking. And so I talked to her about, and I'm being very honest with you, at this time in my life, I wanted to curse. At this time when I talked to this witch, I wanted to curse somebody real bad and put them to death. I wanted something done to them. And that's how many people come to these witches. And so I told her my whole story and everything and told her what I wanted done. And she said, that's going to be, you might want to save your money for about $700. This was the real thing. And she was going to charge me like $700 for, to put work on this person. My point is this, I'm a little more advanced than the average person that's a Christian, that as far as my experiences and what I've experienced and what I've actually done when it comes to witchcraft and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So I talked to somebody that really worked it. They get paid to do this stuff. So, yeah. And she just was like, just save your money, whatever. And you might want to save like $700. See, in the spiritual world, it don't take a lot of money to get this stuff done. So if you got people that don't believe in spirituality, they'll think even what I'm doing is nothing, because they looking at how much money that's being used and like, how could that be a threat against our community? I can get something done to you for $700 in witchcraft. I don't have to have $1 million. It was less than $1,000. Tear your whole life apart for less than $1,000. So I mean, that's another thing that I learned. With time, it don't take no whole bunch of money to curse somebody. That's what no, it don't. No, it don't. And so if you one of those fat cats that's with a lot of money and you think we ain't doing nothing over here, oh, he couldn't possibly be doing nothing over there. He's on EBT. That's what they gonna say. Oh, he's on EBT. You can't be serious. That's a joke. They ain't doing nothing. You can't be serious. That's what people gonna say. You can't be serious. We don't care what he doing. He got EBT. You can't be serious. See, I know how people think. That's what people gonna say. But then if you so that tells me your ignorance, because that same person, I can get something done to you. If I was working witchcraft, I can get $700 and get something done to you. Less than $1,000, and you got all kind of money. You got millions, and somebody can take $700 and destroy your life. I mean, think about that movie Eve's Bayou, right? With a little girl. The little girl put a curse on her daddy for $20. That's in our culture. Everybody remember that movie? Eve's Bayou, and she put that curse on that Smollett. I forget that's what I'm talking about. The two brothers and sisters that's in Hollywood. She was a little girl at that time, but she went on. I seen her in True Blood and in Lovecraft. If you ever watched that, so you can see I'm a very cultured person. I watch all the Lovecraft where they using witchcraft in there and stuff, and talking, and it's going into the depths of craft. It's magic, basically. But it's not like Harry Potter. It's coming from a black experience, and it actually keeps in focus the racial tension between black and white people. All of those aspects are in there, and it's going through different places in time. And so it was called Lovecraft Country, something like that. But that same young woman that's in that move, she was the center focus on, because she was the most famous, and for that world it was very fitting for her to do. It was very fitting for her to do that kind of little show, because she got her start at Eve's Bayou, where she was the little girl putting the curse on her dad for $20. $20. So you gotta look at it like this. Money is just a witch can just charge whatever kind of money that she gonna give you, where she's gonna give access to her services. So so she puts a price tag on it, and she just does what she does. The money isn't an indication of what the power is going to be. It's not an indication. All she's doing is putting a price tag on her services. Her services is priceless in that world. But she got to put some type of reasonable price tag. She can't charge people $1 million. I mean, she ain't gonna never get the money. You got to look at that too. Of course, a witch is gonna always feel it's worth more than that. What she doing to destroy somebody else that's in your life, it's gonna be more than $700. But she can't charge the average person no more than that. That's why that's a good price. She still it's above a couple $100, and it's pretty decent, And that's what she told me. She said, you might want to save your money. So I talked to a real witch before in my life. That I sat down and watch her videos before I contacted her. I didn't just find some little ad online and then no. I watched this woman on videos, and what convinced me is just how laid back she was. This woman was laid back. She wasn't talking nothing crazy and doing nothing crazy. Like, she was just laid back. And I went and talked to her about that's what she used to. She probably used to that. I told her my whole situation, like a whole big old message, like the whole, you need to make a real huge message. I made a real huge message telling her all that I was going through, and she said that's gonna be about $700. You might want to save your money for about $700. So I'm just showing you, I'm being transparent, even though I don't use witchcraft. At one point in my life, when I really want, and a lot of people come to that point, this is how they get into it. You get old enough, it's somebody in your life that did you wrong, and you want them dead. You want them dead. And that's how you start getting into it. Your enemies wanted you dead. And that's how they got into it. See that? You got into it for that reason, and they got into it for that reason. So then it's a whole world where people are putting witchcraft on other people. It's going on right now. We ain't talking about gang stalkers. We're talking about people putting witchcraft on other people right now, actively. Active out there. Whole spiritual war out there, bro. And a lot of black people are not aware of it. You're not aware of it because you don't believe in it. I talk to many black people, and people know. I'm pretty sure witches and warlocks know this. Some black people don't believe in witchcraft. Nope. They'll tell you, I don't believe in that. That's how you know I've been talking to people. I don't believe in it. It don't matter if you don't believe in it. It's still gonna work. And matter of fact, it's gonna work better because you don't believe in it. I know it's real, and I'm gonna adjust to the situation, and I'm gonna be good. It ain't gonna be real for me. It's gonna be real for you, ironically, because you got your guard down. You don't even believe in it, and guess what's gonna happen? As a result, you're going to be lost, man. You're going to lose. You're going to lose. I promise you're going to lose because you're not going to be aware of all kind of manipulation and everything they're doing in your life. And if you ain't got no walk with God, listen, they're going to fight you even worse. It's going to be sad. It's going to be pitiful. Your whole life fall apart. If they get the right witch on your tail, buddy, your whole life going to fall apart. Because you ain't got no protection. You ain't got none protecting you. And all you thinking about is, I don't believe in it. That ain't gonna work. That's just like somebody coming to you with a gun to rob you. I don't believe this. I don't believe this is happening. Yeah, it's gonna feel surreal. If you get robbed, I done been robbed in my life before for real. At gunpoint. When you get robbed at gunpoint, it's gonna feel surreal. That's the feeling you're gonna feel like this ain't even real. And then you're gonna feel that feeling like you got burnt to the world. Like the whole world is done burnt you. I call it a burnt. It's a feeling like you got burnt. You know what I mean? Not like an injury, like you just got wronged. You know what I'm saying? And after you get robbed and somebody walk away, you feel so, the wrong you feel, especially if you're young, it's so amplified. It's almost like the whole world wronged you. You on your own out in the world. It's that kind of feeling. So I've been robbed at gunpoint, right? With a real gun. And they got something off of me too. I had a lot of at that time I was smoking weed. I had a lot of weed on me. I had 2 big bags of weed. That's what I got robbed for. So when somebody work witchcraft on you, you could say, "Oh, it's not real." That it's not real, but it's just as real as somebody robbing you with a gun. And then it's gonna kick in like that. You're gonna start seeing stuff happen to your life. You're gonna start seeing stuff fall apart. Stuff just ain't working. You know, this separation between you and your family, they're gonna be doing all of that against you. One of the most obvious signs of witchcraft is separation from family. They're gonna try to isolate you. You know what I'm saying? That's part of it. You know, so you know how many people suffering from witchcraft right now, man? I'm telling you, they don't even know, man. They cause you gotta look at the hearts of men. This is how you know. This is how you get up to date. Look at the hearts of men. If you know, people can hate you for a little of nothing, bro. Like, and they can want to curse you for a little of nothing. Maybe you got a position at your job, and you know, and they felt like they deserved it, and you didn't. They felt like you kiss people butt. That's the reason why you got promoted. They feel like they work hard, and you're more in the social aspect of the job. You don't really deserve this position as far as work ethic. You just got it because of your social aspect. Who you are on the job socially. That's how you got it to them. And because of that reason, and they feel like they should have got it, and they need it, right? They need the money. They gonna curse you. They gonna curse you to get out that position. And now you're going through all kinds of stuff. And that spiritual and that witchcraft might manifest in all different types of ways. Not just take a little money from you. It might it could bounce off of you and curse your family. Your grandmother died. This is how bad witchcraft is. I've watched it. While they may target you, let's just say you're a Christian, right? They try to curse you in that situation where you got the job promotion. It happens for these type of reasons. Think about it. Money is gonna be the main reason people want to curse you. You got money. That's gonna be the main reason. Think about it. That's gonna be the number one reason. A matter of money, a dispute with money, family arguing over money. You know how many witches probably people come to them? Yeah, my aunt took some money from me. This is like this real soul. They listen. Witches deal with people that got real bad hurt. Real bad hurt. My aunt took this money from me. She took $30,000 and skipped town. She took $30,000 and skipped town, right? How you gonna get revenge? She took $30,000 from you and skipped town, didn't give you no explanation. What you gonna do? The hearts of men is gonna entertain the thought of witchcraft. What if witchcraft would work? What if I could curse her? You think about all the movies you saw, you think about all the stuff you done seen, you start thinking about it, you thinking about it on a serious level, you really serious. So you talk to somebody you feel like is professional, and they like, yeah, that's gonna be about $800. Okay, you save up the money. The person that go through it, let's say they're a Christian, they gonna be protected. But guess what Spirit's gonna do? I really believe this. Spirit's gonna find somebody in your bloodline. Them demons ain't gonna go back to where the curse came from. Them demons gonna find, they gonna know the bloodline. They gonna fly and find out the bloodline. They gonna figure out, they gonna curse somebody in your family. Then somebody dies in your family. You know what that probably was? For seasoned Christians, let me explain something to you. You can't cover the whole, you can try to cover the whole family, but everybody has free will, right? If they not protecting themselves, it might work for a while, but a person gotta be a Christian for themselves to get really protected from witchcraft. So if somebody trying to curse you, and it don't hit you, guess what? It's gonna hit somebody in your bloodline that ain't walking with God. Because that's gonna hurt you too. That's how smart the spirits are. They still gonna cause injury with somebody that is not covered and protected by God. And it's indirectly they still attacking you. So see, it's a double whammy. I'm gonna hit somebody in your bloodline, and I'm still injuring you at the same time. See, I noticed this in my life. My brother died in this wild way. That ain't nothing but all this. Think about it. Now everybody know my situation, right? Look at all this witchcraft people been using against me. You don't think none of them spirits went to my bloodline? Of course. They went and looked and seen my brothers. They seen my family. They couldn't do nothing with my mom. They couldn't really do nothing. They hit my stepdad. He got some type of, I'm being honest with you, but I can't share this with my family because now my mom is coming around to believe in it. We now believe that my stepdad has been cursed with witchcraft. But we rebuking it, we trying to do as much as we can. But back to what I said, you gotta live this thing for yourself. You gotta live this thing for yourself, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't depend your whole life on the prayers of others. You know what I'm saying? So like, he got this rare disease that like the doctors done all these tests and they can't figure out where it came from. It's so bad, no lie. They wanted to put him on CNN. No lie, bro. No, yo. You heard what I said? They wanted to put my stepdad on CNN, as in the news outlet, because the disease that he got is so rare. No, this is real life. I'm not talking, that's why I say I deal with real life. The disease that my stepdad got is so rare that they wanted to put him on CNN. The doctors wanted to bring light to it. But I mean, I guess if you can't find a way to make it news friendly, it might not make sense. You know what I'm saying? Just like spreading light on it, and then what after that? What you say after that? So maybe that's the reason why it didn't work, because it's not really news friendly. It has to be a punchline. Okay, this guy has this disease, but where's the punchline? You see what I'm saying? Unfortunately, even in our world, death is the punchline. If somebody has a rare disease and they die, okay, that's the punchline. But if you're alive, I hate to say it, but if you're alive with a disease, there's no punchline.
It's not news friendly because there's no punchline. Okay, he has a rare disease. Okay, what next? It's no punchline. News is all about the punchline. So I believe that people have been working witchcraft against my family in the South because they know who I am. They went back to my dad, my mom, and everything. This is why, if you don't know, you'll think, well, I'm a white witch. I don't set out to hurt people. And if he was really spiritual, he should understand white witches and black witches and even red witches. I understand all three. But put yourself in my shoes. It's more personal than ever before because nobody used witchcraft like they used it against me in this country. They ain't used witchcraft against somebody like me, like they used it against me. No. Show me another person. They thought it was a big carnival game that they would use all this witchcraft against me to see how much I could take and whatever, and put me in these situations over and over again. And a brother got fed up. That's all it is. That's all it is. Ain't nothing strange going on over here. It's just a brother that's fed up. That's it. You know? And basically that's how it is. They used a whole bunch of witchcraft and just seen like an experiment, like I'm a guinea pig to see how much I could take. But meanwhile, simultaneously, I'm fighting back. Getting results, manifesting in my own level of spirituality. And that's the punchline. People set out to do things to me. I do believe my family was cursed. My dad, my stepdad, he got a disease that the doctors don't know where it come from. That most witches gonna tell you that is witchcraft. How doctors don't know where it came from? How a doctor don't know what it is? That got to be witchcraft. Especially looking at your situation and you said witches is against you. What's the odds that you're complaining about witchcraft but your stepdad just got this rare disease? What's the odds that isn't connected to some form of witchcraft and all these people are against you from state to state all throughout the country, but your stepdad just got this rare disease and it ain't connected to that at all? It is. See, we have to take casualties in this situation. That's the bad part about war. You want to come out flawless, but the truth is, man, there's going to be casualties on your side. And listen, even in spirituality, bro, like that's something you got to come to terms with. You hate it, but there's casualties. It's just part of it, bro. Like, and even though he ain't dead, it's just like it's a certain form of casualty because, it's like financial casualty, but they above water. My family above water, but my stepdad. Let me tell you something about him. This is gonna form your opinion right here. This dude worked almost every day of his life, right? This dude is so strong. He had a broken foot. And was working, and he didn't even know his foot was broken. That ain't a strong man. I'ma know if something wrong with if my foot broke. I'm going straight to, oh man, my foot don't feel right. I'm going to the hospital. I'm going to the ER. Ain't no way in the world I'm gonna be walking on a broken foot. He was walking on a broken foot. That's the old school. That's like, men ain't built like that no more. This dude, my stepdad was walking on a broken foot, bro. Broken. His foot was fractured. It was broken. He was still walking. He was still working and everything. He just thought, like most men, some little achy, something going on with the foot. Like that. This man worked every day of his life. He worked through a broken foot. He gets hit with a sickness while he's working. This man got a Camaro. He got 2 cars, sport cars, everything. He always kept cars, kept money, jewelry, gold. Generous person too. Give to people, give back to the hood. He wasn't scared of the hood. He go through the worst neighborhoods in Charlotte. He was in West. He'd go to West Charlotte, everywhere. And then the thing is, he don't switch up. He can't switch up. He always had a nice car throughout all in the 90s, everything. So he'd be in the hardest part of town with this nice car. You know what I mean? But he relatable to the community. He played basketball in the hood. We used to go down in the hood and he played basketball in the hood. So, and he was a mechanic by trade, right? So he fixed everybody's car. My stepdad was a mechanic, so he fixed everybody's car and everything. So that's a man's man. That's why he had no problem with Charlotte. Charlotte knew him. He worked on too many people's cars. He worked throughout the years, for 20, 30 years, something like that. So it's all of Charlotte knew who he was. You know what I'm saying? Oh, yeah, I know that dude, he a mechanic. So, you know, when he got struck down with a sickness, you know what I'm saying? For a man like that work, I'm talking about his work ethic is what every man want to act like they work ethic is. Nah, that part. You know what I mean? You want to act like you worked all your life. You want to act like you put your best foot forward. You want to act like you ready to work all the time. You know how it is. Keep it 100. You want to act like you work all the time and you ready to work and you ready to work all the time. You want to act like you're ready to work all the time. You ain't ready to work all the time. Stop playing, bro. Every man want to act like they're ready to work all the time, ain't you? Yeah, I'm ready to work. I'm ready to work. Yeah, I'm ready to work. Every man gonna say, yeah, I'm ready to work. Every man wanna act like they like we got this work ethic, we ready to work, we a provider. See, as a man, listen, this is how you know you're a real man. You want to be a provider, right? You want to be. Some people don't want to be a provider. They don't care about it. You want to provide for your woman, don't you? You want to provide for your family. You want to provide for your woman. Like, that's the one thing we struggle with as black men, you know, trying to be a provider, you know, being a sufficient provider, providing enough, you know. So imagine somebody that is a provider, like my stepdad. This man provide he had food, money, everything. We ain't never go hungry. We barely went hungry. Especially, mind you, he getting gigs for like off the books for being a mechanic. He fixing people's cars throughout the years, here and there, everywhere, including our own family. They coming to him and giving him money for fixing cars. So imagine that. He was that kind of man. He, the same man that works on a broken foot. He's a mechanic to the community. He making all kind of bread, just fixing cars easy. Think about it. You got your own cars, you got your own money. He got his own situation. He buys whatever he wants when he wants to. See, that's why, you know, me coming from my household, from my stepdad and my mom, I'm used to seeing people with having money. I'm used to seeing that. So I've never been a jealous person, because if your parents were hustlers, you're used to seeing your family have money. You're used to seeing your family have nice gold and jewelry and cars and things like that. You're used to seeing that, so you get conditioned to be happy for other people through seeing your mom being a hustler and your dad being a hustler. You're gonna feel happy for them first, right? So you're gonna build this pattern of being happy for people with first starting with your parents if they was hustlers. If they was hustlers, you're gonna look at them and build a pattern. You're gonna constantly be happy for them to have this, happy to have that. Oh, that's nice, that's nice, that's nice. You got this, that's nice. And you build a pattern of an unjealous pattern of being used to seeing people have things, right? And there's no jealous bone in your body. See, it's no jealous bone in my body. Because I first was happy for my mom and my stepdad, you know what I'm saying? Having things and everything, you know. And, but if you ain't grow up like that, you know, and your mom them always hating on somebody else, you're going to be the same way, man. That's why, like, if you look at people that's against us, they probably didn't have family that had anything. Their family wasn't hustlers. Cause you ain't gotta come into money. You gotta be a hustler in the world. You gotta hustle. You know what I'm saying? You gotta hustle. You know, and so that's what my stepdad was like. He was a hustler. He you know, a legitimate hustler. You know what I'm saying? Everything he got, he worked for, and he had gigs on the side. Remind you, he got a mechanic job, and he's a mechanic in the city. You know, working for all black people. So he had money all the time, just money here and there. The money coming here, there, just out the blue. You know what I'm saying? A mechanic get money out the blue. Oh, I got a gig over here, I got a gig over there. Just money coming up. You glad to do it. You know, so that's what type of man he was in a nutshell. And then for him to get stricken down with something, and he ain't even working right now, I know it's witchcraft. I already start sensing that he was being gang stalked on his routines back and forth to work. I just kept seeing this in my mind. You know, and I told my mom about it in so many ways, like to pray for him going back and forth to work. Now, see, that was before all of this happened. I specifically, see, this is trusting your spirituality. You have to learn to trust it. Like I said, you are a spiritual person. People are spiritual. A lot of people don't trust their spirituality. That's the first thing. If you do any training, the first training is trust your intuition. People say that and it's almost cliche, but they don't really trust their intuition. Those things, those visions and things you see in your head, give extra thought to it. And I guarantee you'll come out right. Like, I made light of it, which means I'm not an amateur. I seen these things where, like, he was on his routes and just like I felt like it was this gang stalking energy around him on the routes and at the stores and people, these women in front of him and, you know, these people around him and, you know, throwing themselves at you. Cause he got money. He was a man. He had a nice car. Women gonna throw themselves at, that's common sense. You know, and now that I'm a man, I'm older, I know people gonna throw themselves at you. You got a nice car, you know, you know, you're a working man on top of that. You got your uniform on all the time. Women gonna love that. You know, so, you know, I think there was people in his routines in Charlotte that was against him, because I started sensing this before he got sick. He wasn't working. After he got sick, he stopped working. So obviously this was before he stopped working, and before this happened, this sickness happened to him. And I had already sensed specifically, I kept it to myself because my mom, now she's more open to knowing about gang stalking and all of that. But before that, like when I first sensed this, she wasn't, you know, I couldn't talk to her about that. She didn't kind of believe in it. Now she see what's going on, you know. But, you know, he got stricken down after I sensed all these gang stalkers on his path, right? He got stricken down after that, you know, and I believe that was witchcraft. That's what it was. And my mom now believes that. She said, I believe it too. So my mom believes it, and, you know, that this was witchcraft. This is an example of when a witch can't curse you successfully, those spirits will go to the bloodline. And so with all the witchcraft that's been thrown against me, that's what happened. My stepdad got hit because he's not a Christian. So he's just, you know, he's vulnerable to all the elements that we're in spiritual warfare going through, you know. He's subject to all these elements. This is what happened. My stepbrother, he gets killed and murdered. Now, I'm telling you, these are the casualties. He gets murdered from a home invasion. Less than 2 years ago, somebody came and kicked in his door and shot him and killed him. It hit the news. I seen my dad on the news, my biological dad. This is why it's personal. That's what I'm trying to show you. It's no way in the world, me being spiritual, I think that ain't got nothing to do with all this witchcraft thrown towards me. Of course it do. It has to have something to do with it. They can't attack me successfully. They can't attack me successfully. So those spirits gonna try to find other places where they can get in. And see, most of my family is from the South. They gonna get their religion right, their spirituality. I say religion right, but they gonna get their spirituality right. And they gonna get their guard up. They gonna have their guard up. So that's why it ain't really no more casualties, you know. But like with my brother, man, he probably was just living like a fun-loving life, you know what I'm saying? And I think he was gay, you know what I'm saying? I think he was, and I think the dudes that did it, that killed him, that murdered him, they knew he was gay, and they thought he was an easy target. And in so many ways he was, because they came in there, they did a home invasion without resistance. There was no resistance. You know what I'm saying? That's why I believe in keeping a gun in the house. While people think you're a maniac, I believe in more so now of keeping a gun in the house, at least, at minimum. And us as black people, we do not care if we don't care if our guns are licensed or not. We gonna keep a gun in the house. That's old school. Old school, they ain't gonna care if a gun is registered or not. We old school, we gonna keep a gun in the house. Okay, I might not brandish it around. You know what I'm saying? I might not flash it, but I'm gonna have a gun for the house. That's black people. Black people gonna have a gun for the house, buddy. Yes, sir. That's how you know who black. I ain't got no guns in the house. How y'all black? I grew up with guns in the house. My family kept guns in the house. That's what I'm saying. That part. Now add that to my stepdad too. Kept guns in the house, everything. I remember as a kid playing around with his 9mm, and it went off, and I shot it. Boom! It went off. It put a hole in the wall. I mean, a hole in the door. And I had to fix it. And I put toothpaste. I put tissue and toothpaste in a white door and sealed the hole with toothpaste and toothpaste and tissue and caked it up together and it hardened real good. And nobody never knew that I was playing around with the gun, the 9mm, and it went off and hit the gun and hit the door. He kept guns in the house. Our family keep guns. You know what I'm saying? So I used to play around with that one. That's why some people come from, their family is a little hard, bruh. Some people got hard family. I'm not the only one. Some people got hard family, bruh. I ain't gotta go to the streets. The last time I needed a gun, I called my stepdad. Yo, bring me a gun. Just like that. Not me like a kid begging for a gun. Can you please bring me a gun? I talked to him as a man. Yo, can you bring me a gun? They shooting next door. He brought the gun, backed the car up and reversed it into the driveway, popped the trunk, gave me a shotgun, buddy. Boom. That's the last time I had a gun. See, some people, their family is hard enough where I don't really have to, like, who I boast of and the energy I got, some of it ain't from the streets, it's from being around my family. See, if you got real hardcore family, in any situation, you know, part of who you are, it doesn't fully come from the streets. Some people, who they are, come fully from the streets. Make sense? The farthest, being a street person, all of it come from the streets. They ain't getting none of that from their mom and dad. They mom and dad was conservative. These real street dudes, but their family was conservative. You can't make your whole family real and street people. So some thugs, their family was conservative. You know, you couldn't ask your stepdad for no gun. I did. I can say I called my stepdad, yo, bring me a gun. He bring me a shotgun. And my girlfriend that I was living with at the time, she didn't like guns in the house, right? So I had to sneak it in and lay in the other room. That's when I started, as far as living with her, I started sleeping in the other room because I was sleeping with I had this shotgun I was sleeping with. I used to lay on it and sleep, put it in the bed under the mattress and sleep on the shotgun. Cause I was in the neighborhood with, people playing games and everything. Okay. See, so you got black families like that, man. Like I'm influenced by that. While you might, so then I'm gonna be, when it comes to gunplay and all that kind of thinking, I'm gonna be more like still a family person. Make sense? Where I might use less slang than you. I might don't seem as ghetto as you, but I'm more dangerous than you. Where I can make a call when you can't do it as quick as I can do it. I can make a call and say, "Yo, bring me a gun." You can't do that. You're just ghetto. You're just ratchet. You can't make a call to your own family and make them bring you a gun. Cause your mom them is conservative. They conservative. They ain't gonna do nothing like they'll be appalled if you even ask them that. They'll think the world is falling apart if you even ask them. If you even ask them that, they'll think the world is falling apart. I said, listen, I told my stepdad, yo, bring me a gun. My mom and my dad came over there to my girlfriend's house, backed the car up in the driveway, popped the trunk, and gave me a shotgun, buddy. That's not fake, bro. That's what I'm trying to show you, man. That's my life. That's who I am. Now, you gotta go to the streets. All your reputation is in the streets. Everybody's not like that. That's reputation for me. I made one call. I got me. They backing up in the driveway, popping the trunk. So, man, my stepbrother, remind you, he wasn't part of that's my stepdad. So that's like, they're completely two different polars. They're not they never even had a conversation ever. My stepdad and my stepbrother, that's from two different sides, So like, that's my brother from my stepmother, On my dad's side, my stepfather is obviously on my mom's side, my brother got killed. He got murdered, right? And I was here in New York when it happened. My dad, I went and looked on the news. Sure enough, my dad was on the news, and it's on YouTube right now. It's still there. It's there. It's not going anywhere. Like, that's in the last year and some change. Not even 2 years yet. That wasn't even 2 years ago. You see what I'm saying? So can you imagine me playing with people and your brother got killed like that? So that's why, man, I don't assume to know anybody. You know what I'm saying? You make a fool, as they say, when when you assume, you make an ass of yourself. When you assume anything, you make an ass of yourself. Okay? Why you think that saying became so popular? Because you look like an ass when you realize you didn't really know what was going on. You didn't know what type of person you was playing with. Where I made a phone call and got me a shotgun. Why you think I'm still on the amateur level? Why you think I'm still a little peewee or something? Why you think I'm a lame or whatever you think? And it don't matter. Sexuality or nothing, it don't matter. Sexuality and war is two different things. Only a lame person gonna think war and sexuality, what I put my penis in ain't got nothing to do with what I'll do to you. What that got to do with it? In the times that we live in, where I put my penis, what that got to do with what I'll do to you? That's a simple-minded person. How's your sexuality gonna determine what I'll do to you? How my sexuality is gonna determine that? You stupid. You think because somebody is they got quirky sexuality, they do freaky stuff. You think that means you could play with me? You a simple-minded person. And you'll be surprised at how many gay people would think other gay people is weak because they gay. Yeah, other gay people think you weak because you gay, like you ain't a threat. I'm the same dude called my stepdad get a shotgun. Me, nobody else, not the homies, not nobody else with me. Me making the call, me getting the gun. All I gotta do is get shells for it. That's all I gotta do. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying I practice some other type of sexuality. I'm a heterosexual, and that's facts. That's how my mind is wired. I like women. I like everything about women. And every woman that has been with me sexually loves my sexuality. You know, that's just what it is. But right now, I am, practicing abstinence. I'm living a righteous life. Women, I've been, at my age, I've had many relations with women. A man of my age can take a break. I can take a break from women. A real man know what I'm talking about. Especially when you need to get yourself together. I mean, right now, that's how you know you're a quality man. I'm not, why even try to find, I could find a woman right now, but I gotta get myself together. I'm at that level, like, I gotta get me a little place to live. You know what I'm saying? I got, what I'm gonna do in this situation with a woman. Oh, me and her go hang out at the park, and it's like, 12 degrees outside. It's like 12 degrees right now. Man, come on, man. Like, some people got their priorities out of whack, and they'll question you when you got yours in the right place, where you're a man enough to wait for a woman. You need a wholesome woman anyway, that don't take just anything. You want a woman that choose you when you at your best, because that tell you what type of woman she is. If she choose you and you ain't really got nothing, it might seem good, but it's something probably wrong with her. Oh, that's the truth. In most cases, I'm not saying in every case, but in many cases, if she choose you and you broke and you ain't got nothing going on, that's because probably she can't do no better, which means something's wrong with her. Well, why can't she get somebody that got money? We ain't talking about love. Now, it get tricky for a black man because we got great sex, right? So sometimes that's what it is. A lot of times that's what it is. But ask yourself, if besides your sex, she can go get somebody else with great sex too, couldn't she? No, keep it 100. She can go get somebody else with great sex too, though. You ain't the only one. If you one of them type of men that think you the only one that got great sex, you gonna have your heart broken 1,000,000 times, buddy. You think you the only one can do something in the bedroom? You ain't the only one, buddy. You ain't the only one. And if you one of them men that think you got the biggest penis in the world, you think you got the biggest penis in the world, buddy? Listen, you still like a child. You believe in your penis is the biggest penis in the world. Well, if I stretch it a little bit, it's the biggest. Hey, a man gonna stretch it, ain't he? If I pull it up here, I pull it all the way out. Hey, you've been doing that all your life, trying to pull it as strong as you can. That's probably the biggest penis in the world. Hey, tell me men ain't like that. And then you grow out of it. You grow out of that, right? You know your penis ain't the biggest penis in the world. Stop playing. You grow out of that, right? And then you accept your whole being based on who you are. You accept the uniqueness of your penis, the uniqueness of who you are as a person. You accept it. And you realize when you're down to earth, besides your penis, every woman ain't gonna like you as a person. That's just what it is. Every woman ain't gonna like you. See, the men that think every woman like them, I'm gonna tell you what happened to you. You wind up getting all kind of bizarre police charges we ain't never heard of. Well, he got this obstruction of property, destruction and obstruction of properties, obstruction and destruction. How that work? Hey, this dude, cause you know what? He wind up messing around this woman that don't really want him, and he can't accept no for an answer. And with his narcissistic behavior, he wind up getting obstruction and destruction of property and all this stuff. He messed up her flower bed. They say he messed up the flower. He went over her house. She had this winding flower bed. She had this winding flower bed. He done messed up the flower bed. You got dirt all on your socks and everything. He one of them dudes, ain't he? He got all dirt all in his socks over some woman's house, some pretty woman's house that didn't want him. I don't know what I'll do. I mess up your flowers. One of them type of dudes. I'm gonna mess up your flowers. And a woman, you know that will actually hurt a woman. I worked 5 months on those flowers. I actually had a personal bond with them flowers. I can never get those same flowers back. It won't be the same. A woman is saying, it won't be the same. See, some people don't like women. Some people don't like women. And some men do. Some men like having sex with women, but they don't like women personalities. They don't like the energy of a woman. They just want to have sex with a woman. That's why they always hang with the homies. Some say kind of suspect, but I understand it. Men hang with the homies because they don't like women's energy. They like, you know, especially if a man got to take care of a woman all the time. He ain't gonna have respect for her. So he gonna hang out with the homies. Because he don't really respect a woman that ain't working. A strong working man, nah. Not in some cases. I mean, he might say it's okay. But he ain't gonna see you as his equal. Nope. He ain't gonna see you as his equal. See, that's how men are with money. A man with money ain't gonna see you as his equal. A woman with money, ooh, she ain't gonna see you as she ain't gonna see you as the number one man in the world. Like that's what we struggle with. Now, love will make a woman do that, you know. But when the love fades, it's already over. If you broke and y'all ain't got no love, you know it's almost over, don't you? Now, when you had love, okay, yeah. But after love and you ain't got no money, it's almost over, buddy. It's almost over. Now, you can keep a relationship afloat with love, yeah. Yeah. But you better keep it alive. You better keep hope alive, buddy. You better keep hope alive. You better keep hope alive. Yeah, man. Yeah. Look, these people try to curse my life. My brother got murdered. I grew up with this person. We used to get haircuts together. We go to the barbershop together, everything. Laugh together, trip together, play video games. Cause I always kept video games, so my stepbrother loved to come and watch me play the video games and all of that. And he's gone, man. Somebody murdered him. It's just too strange to me. And then I'm going through all this gang stalking and stuff from state to state. What's the odds my dad winds up on the news for my brother getting killed? And if you ain't one of those black folks that ain't had nobody die and y'all family on the news, then you don't understand the feeling. It's a surreal feeling. It's surreal that your family's on the news. Like, you go look on the news and your family on the news, and somebody got murdered in your family that you was close to. It's like a dream. It's not real. It's like a dream, bro. Like, it hasn't even been 2 years yet. It hasn't even been 2 years yet. You know, and I honestly think that was witchcraft. I can't tell my dad that. That's my whole point. I can't tell my dad that was witchcraft. It's almost like spite the injury, and you'll offend somebody if they don't believe that. Like, you just thinking all kind of crazy hocus pocus stuff. That's how it's gonna come off. Like, you thinking hocus pocus stuff, and that's just a little inappropriate. So I never shared that perspective with my father. unless he say something to that effect that it could be witchcraft. If he says, I would chime in and say, yeah, I think it was witchcraft, but I'm not gonna say it if he don't, being that was his son, you know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna say it, and if you don't halfway believe it, if you don't give me nothing to work with to make me think you would believe that is the case, because it's too far-fetched, then people start doubting you and think you crazy. Especially a man. A man knows nothing but to work. He lives in the real world. A real man lives in the real world. If you start talking about witchcraft, a man think you got too much time on your hands, something wrong with you. You sitting up now, you're thinking he got killed by witchcraft. See how that sounds for a real man? See, you don't know what a real man is, do you? See, I know how real men think. Now you sound like you kind of a little off the deep end, buddy. Well, you think my son, you think he got killed by witchcraft? Think about it. You know what I'm saying? So I realized, man, and my dad is a Christian, and I'm glad to say that. But I wouldn't share that temperament with him unless he gave me something to ride off of. If he didn't, I'm not gonna say that. But I believe that's what it is. I believe that it was witchcraft, because I look at it in terms of my life and how they will want to affect, how they obsess over my life, to where I know that they have found everybody in my family. See, if you're really high ranking, they gonna go and find everybody. I'm smart enough to know this. They gonna take time when they ain't got nothing else to do. They gonna go into your family and then find fun playing with your family when they can't play with you. Especially a person like me, I'm point A to point B. I don't run around a lot anymore, right? But you can tell I'm an outgoing person because I'm from out of town. So an out of town dude gonna always look good. I'm always look good because I'm from out of town, But I'm not running around a lot, I'm not running around anymore, So people can, these secret society people and these witchcraft people will go find other people in your family to play with, and that'll be to them almost as good. So I know they've been playing around my family, you know what I'm saying? And that's why my whole conclusion to all this rabbit hole I went down, this is why it's more personal to me, the witchcraft that's been used against me. It's way more personal because of what it's done in my life, in my personal life, with my family. I really believe that's what it was. You know what I'm saying? With my stepdad getting a rare disease and my brother just getting murdered. That's your brother. He gets murdered. And then the thing about it, he wasn't even no thug. No, not by any stretch of the imagination. As a matter of fact, my dad has 4 kids, right? I'm the oldest. That's why my personality is the way it is. I'm the oldest child. I'm the oldest son, the eldest son of my dad's children. Okay, my stepdad don't have no children, and my stepmother doesn't have any other children by any other man. So these children have nobody else I'm the oldest of, there's nobody among my parents' children that is older than me. I'm the oldest. That's why my personality is like it is. I'm the oldest son. I didn't. That's why I can stand on my own. When you're the oldest brother, you have a certain personality. Think about it. You're gonna form to that to your life that you live in. Most likely, if you're the oldest, you're gonna act like you're gonna have a certain personality. I can stand on my own. I think for myself. I've learned to find my own way. Because I ain't had no older brothers. So how you gonna find your way about this? I research information a lot. As an older brother, the older brother ain't got no reference. So what you gonna do? You gonna start researching for yourself. You gonna start venturing out in life for yourself. You know, because you don't have nobody to sit and talk around like I do, like I do. You know, a younger brother just goes to their older brother and they learn everything about life. They learn all kind of stuff. You know, I have to go venture out. So you become the venture out type of person. And I find out things on my own. I live, you know what I'm saying? You know, so you got a little brother personality too. A little brother personality can be it can form a person that is competitive, a rival, like the rival people. That's a little brother's personality. A big brother, no, he don't have no rivals. I don't have any rivals because I don't have any older brothers. I'm the oldest. So who's my rival? Who's gonna be my rival? They are not comparable. And even being real, with my biological brother, he's me and him a night and day difference. He wouldn't dare become to New York like I did. I came to Brooklyn. I came to Harlem. I lived in East New York. That's an older brother. I lived in Los Angeles. Everything. My brother couldn't stand it. He did nothing with his life. You know what I'm saying? I went everywhere. You know what I'm saying? So I proved to have a big brother personality. I didn't do it for that reason. It's just how I'm built. I ain't think nothing about trying to outdo anybody else. And matter of fact, I was just thinking about me, to be honest, in which an older brother's gonna do that. I'm thinking about me. So this brother, my youngest brother, the one that got murdered, he was a good kid. He never got caught. Among the four children my dad had, he never, ever went to jail. Not that I know of. The other three brothers, I mug shots on the other two. I went online and seen mug shots on both of them. Mug shots. This brother, I never seen a mug shot. See, that's how you know you kind of ghetto. You gotta go online and Google your family in the mug shots and see your cousins in the mug shots. You ain't that ghetto? I can go Google my family right now and look at them on the mug shots. That's a black family. Just in case white folks don't know. Okay, you know what a black family is? Well, I can Google my last name in my hometown, and I can see if my cousin's been to jail. If ain't nobody telling me what's going on in the family, I can go find out. You know how I'm gonna find out who got locked up lately? I'm gonna see all my cousins on the mug shots. And the thing about it is, hey, a real family gonna tell you, oh, and they've been locked up recently. And since I've been checking, they've been locked up more than a couple times. It's an ongoing thing. You go check mug shots. You done seen your favorite cousins in mug shots. Keep it 100. That's how you stay relevant sometimes with the family. You go see mug shots. I do it all the time. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, that's another example of black family right there. You go see mug shots and everything, and that's how you see your family. But this brother right here, he never was locked up. I ain't never seen no mug shot on him. You know, and that's what was the most upsetting thing about the situation. He was a kid that stayed out of trouble. He was a young man that stayed out of trouble. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't selling no drugs. He wasn't, you know what I'm saying? He wasn't catching no kind of charges or nothing. You know what I'm saying? That's what make it worse, man. That's what made it so bad. And then he just got murdered. And out of all the stuff everybody else in the family been through, he the one get murdered. That's what's crazy about it. That's what's crazy. All he did was with the typical things that most black young people do, which is smoke a little weed and drink a little bit. That ain't no criminal. You know what I'm saying? Like you know, that's not a criminal. You know, a lot of kids these days gonna smoke a little weed, smoke a spliff, you know, drink a little wine and some liquor. As a matter of fact, the last conversation I had with that same step brother, me and him was talking about drinking and what kind of alcohol he liked. He was talking about Absolute vodka. He liked Absolute. He was talking about Absolute. So like that's the last conversation we had. Him talking about drinking vodka. And you know, I wish I could have had a couple drinks with him.
you know, as grown men. You know what I'm saying? That's. But see, I traveled so much. That's why I didn't get to do it. You know, but I would have loved, like, cause his personality and how I was and how he was as kids, just how funny he funny. He was definitely. I can't imagine how funny he was, man. Cause he was he was funny as a kid, just like I was. You know what I'm saying? I can't even imagine. But I can tell he had a great sense of humor, and he was funny because just how everybody say they missed him so much. That's probably the sense of humor, definitely. And then, you know, that's what stick out to people when they have that strong missing of you, missing like that, because of his personality, you know. But me and him talked briefly, like when he was in his 20s or something. When he was in his 20s, yeah, when he was in his 20s, man, and you know, he was talking about drinking Absolute vodka. You know, and I'm a vodka drinker, so I know what Absolute is. You know, but yeah, that's the last conversation we had about drinking and stuff. But he dead, man. He got murdered, man, and it's just bad, man, because it just seemed like that just wasn't how he was supposed to go, man. That wasn't his karma. That's the way I would put it. That was no part of his karma. That's what upsets everybody, man. And, you know, and I can't take the pain away from my dad from that. He got to live with that for all his life. You know what I'm saying? And I can't imagine that. I can't imagine, because my son is 18 right now. My son gonna be 19 next month. So my son is going on 19. You know, I couldn't imagine, like, the child that I talked to and the child that I've got to know, you know, just die like that, and then you gotta live. You know what I'm saying? Like that. That's hard. That's real hard, man. You know, yeah. But my son is 18. You know, and my pain is that I didn't get to be in his life. You know, all the years of his young life, I didn't get to see nothing because of my ex-wife. Last I heard, she was on a crazy check. So that explains why me and her, you know, didn't work out, because she was crazy. I'm listen, man. I'm not judging, man, but she got a crazy check. She told me she used to get a crazy check. She was getting a check from the state for mental health. You know what I'm saying? And she lost my son to the state twice. So I just been around somebody crazy. I'm not crazy myself, but I mean, it didn't affect me. I'm not saying it hasn't affected me either, but my ex-wife told me she was getting a crazy check. She was getting a mental health check. But see, that's closure for me. And that might sound cruel to you, but that's closure for me, because now I realize why we didn't make it. I realized why it didn't work, because you know how you try to put your mind around stuff? When things are going good, I don't know if you ever had it like that, but everything going good, you're both working, can't say you ain't working. Can't say you ain't got a place to stay. You can drive, I'm driving. Can't say you ain't driving. Ain't nothing to really talk about. Y'all both working, you got an apartment, you driving, but see, a woman, many women want to save all their money. They don't want to spend their money. Because you got to remember, from women, money represents security. Where I know if I got this much money, I ain't going to end up on the streets where somebody can rape me or something. See, a woman is scared of being homeless. That look worth something, she's scared to be homeless because she could be raped. Think about it. No, I'm serious. She going to think about being on the streets. She can't be on the streets if she look decent. She gonna think about being followed by cars and all that kind of stuff. These men, you go hit the streets like a thug. I done it. Us as men, we hit the streets like a thug and come out like a thug. Like we just came home from prison. Yeah, just came out the streets. You come from the streets like you just came home from prison. Like you just came home.
See, that's what we call it in the South. Or y'all probably say that too up here. When somebody come home from prison, we say, yeah, they just came home. You know, that's how we put it. You know, you come from the streets as a man, it's like you just coming home. Yeah. Trying to eat good, you're trying to do everything people do in prison. When they first come, I'm trying to, eat good. Some dudes just coming from prison, they gonna talk spiritual, you gonna talk spiritual. Yeah, you know, life is full of struggles and challenges. You gonna talk like that. You come from the streets, you gonna talk just like somebody came from prison. And here's the punchline. You're gonna be dangerous too, like somebody came from. See, this is what people don't know about homeless people. Homeless people can be dangerous, buddy. Because you in the elements all the time. You in the elements. You gotta protect yourself. You gotta watch around, you know, watch your life. You know, so you know, man, it's just like it didn't work out for me and my wife because she wanted to save her money all the time. But she was crazy. She had mental health problems too. That explains everything. So I got closure when she told me that. That was my closure. That was my closure, bro. So you know. So what I'm looking at, man, is just like in 2026, we're looking at how people can still be playing games in the world as crazy as it is and all the stuff that's going on now. Now you could say people fell back. Of course, I can tell the difference, but not everybody. Everybody didn't fall back. And until then, I still have a problem on the individual level. Collectively, it may have changed, but individually, see how it gets tricky? Individually, for me, how is it much different? I still have problems with when I go out there, people in my footsteps, and I'm too intuitive to not know that's not what it is. Not know that's not what it is. I know that's what it is. I know the merchants at these stores are in the politics. They still actively in the politics. I got a problem with that because they lames. They lames. I'm the type of dude call my stepdad get a shotgun to blow your head off. Make your head look like teriyaki. Make your head look like teriyaki with teriyaki sauce. Strips of meat, strips of beef. You wanted beef, now you became strips of beef. You wanted beef, now you became strips of beef. You became strips, didn't you? Beef strips. You became beef strips. You became beef strips. You wanted beef and became beef strips. That's a nice rap line, ain't it? You wanted beef, now he beef strips. You wanted beef, and he wanted beef, he became beef strips. So you gotta say it in a certain kind of way. He wanted beef, he became beef strips. Dudes that wanted beef become beef strips. Beef strips. Hey man. Look. I don't know how people can play with us in a world like this. Like I said, I just lost my brother. He got murdered. Murdered. It's one thing to lose your cousin, that's bad too. But your brother, he got murdered, man. That's still, that's still surreal to me, man. I'm still tripping off that. I'm still tripping off of it. Still tripping off that. But how I adjusted to it, man, is this, man. I'm not playing any games. I'm not playing any games. And see, you know, So then, people become arrogant, man, thinking they know what a person is going through. You might think I have it all good. You might think I ain't doing nothing. I'm just laying around and living it up, man. Living it up in the Hotel New York City. You thought I was living it up in the Hotel New York City, didn't you? Living it up in the Hotel New York City. Living it up in the Hotel New York City. Yeah, man. If you can listen, you can tell. You can tell I'm part English. You can hear the English part, the white boy in me. My sense of humor, everything like that. The way it goes, the way the lane my sense of humor go at times. But man, I gotta get my respect as a black man. That's real. That's real. That's trill. That's trill, bruh. That's trill. But the mind readers, man, I put this in conclusion, because that's what this message is about. These mind readers and us as Christians being able to read minds and all of that, and how you've been suppressing your spirituality. My next message is gonna be going deeper into not suppressing your spirituality as a Christian. You know what I'm saying? Start getting in that Bible. Start doing some AI searches. AI is good for research now. They might be having some little corny little videos a lot of time that we despise. Oh, that's AI. That's how you start talking. Ah, that's AI. You ain't start talking like that already. That's AI. Like the despised little brother. That's AI. But AI is good for like research. AI is good for research though. You can find out all kind of spirituality in the Bible, from the Bible. Just like Philip. Philip is somebody I'm gonna be talking about. Philip basically do I want to say astro projected? Teleported. That's the word I'm looking for. He didn't astral project. Philip, he teleported. He teleported. Philip was talking to the African Ethiopian about Isaiah, right? The Ethiopian was very rich, right? And he was reading the Bible. This is in the Bible. And Philip was a servant of God, Philip. So Philip came and talked to him about the Bible, about Isaiah. I think it was the 54th chapter. And the Ethiopian came to Christ and became converted to Christianity. And he baptized the Ethiopian. And when Philip baptized him, he disappeared. He telepathed. He teleported. It says the Spirit took up Philip and he was somewhere else. See, that's the kind of spirituality I'm talking about, buddy. That's amazing to me. I did a study on it. Philip teleported in the Bible. Once he baptized the rich Ethiopian, when he came up, he was gone. Philip was gone. He teleported. And then it says the Spirit took him, the Holy Ghost took him and he was somewhere else. That's amazing. He was somewhere else. Like, and he just came to terms with it. Think about it. You when you're that spiritual, you have to come to terms with it. Like, you just baptize somebody and then you just end up somewhere else, walking around. You could lose your mind if you ain't. But see, because it's from God, you ain't gonna lose. It's gonna be good feelings and everything behind it. But you gotta look at that. Look at that, man. He went from one place to the other. Not travel like driving a car. He teleported, which means he just was from here and then there. That's the level of spirituality I'm talking about, man. And if you act like you got it and you don't, listen, man, you playing yourself. That's all you're doing. For Christians in America that act like you got it all, bro, you don't have it all, bro. No. So to me, and my point is this. That's what gives you the power. That is what should give you the desire to pursue God more than you're doing it. That you don't have this spiritual power. That's like with Philip teleporting and going somewhere else. He just ends up somewhere else. See, that's what I'm talking about. That's the kind of spirituality I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about right there. That's what we hunger after. But see, you gotta be realizing, cause see, God knows where each of his servants is at. If he knows that experience will you can't handle that experience, you're not gonna have it. You're not going to have an experience that you can't handle. And you can easily say that you can handle spiritual experiences. No, you can't. Many of you can't, because as soon as you have one, you're gonna write a book. You're gonna be on Oprah's Soul Sunday. You're gonna try to get on Soul Sunday, get booked on Soul Sunday. You're getting booked on Soul Sunday. You're gonna try to get booked on Soul Sunday, ain't you? You have a spiritual experience, you're going to try to get booked on Soul Sunday. You're going to try to talk to Gail too. Yeah, let me talk to Gail too. You're going to be talking to Oprah. Yeah, talk to Gail. Talk to Gail for me. Talk to Gail. I'm trying to talk to Gail too. I want to sit in front of her like R. Kelly did. When he had enough room to stand up. Gail. I want a setting like R. Kelly had where I can sit right in front of her. I want enough room to move around like R. Kelly. I want enough room to move around like R. Kelly. You gonna go on everywhere. You might go on TMC. Try to get on TMC. Do a little interview. Yeah, hey, how you doing? You on live on TMC. You see, yeah. I had a spiritual experience. You like this on CT. You like this on TMZ Live. Yeah. You got your hands on your hips. Yeah, I had a spiritual experience. Yeah, I had a spiritual experience. See, God knows you will become famous off a spiritual experience. That's why you can't have one. That's why you gotta listen. To go to the highest level of spirituality, you gotta say, God, cleanse my heart. You got a lot of stuff that's in you as a human is stopping your spiritual experience. Because God ain't gonna give you that experience, and then you build a whole legacy off of this experience. You supposed to be experiencing this kind of stuff all the time. But you can't experience it because you listen, you'll be talking about that forever. That's all you're gonna be doing. See, Moses was called, no, people don't think this matters. It does matter. Your heart, not being humble, God ain't gonna give you ain't gonna see no angels, no demons. You know why you don't see them? Because listen, you don't want to accept it, but your heart isn't humble enough for it. No, it ain't. Because as soon as you see it, you're gonna go, you going on Soul Sunday. Okay? You gonna be all everywhere. You're gonna be talking to all the celebrities. You're gonna be on everybody's podcast. You're gonna be on everybody's podcast. You're gonna be on Vlad TV with all the homies and all the rappers. You're gonna be on Vlad TV, yeah. They got your name over there. Yeah. You know, I've ladies, so what happened? Tell me your spiritual experience. Well, you trying to come off like a G a little bit because it's Vlad, because it's Vlad TV. You trying to come off like a G a little bit, ain't you? You trying to come off like a G a little bit, ain't you? Well, yeah, you know, I had my experience. You know what I'm saying? Vlad got you on you on Vlad TV and everything. You on all these podcasts and everything. See, you gotta be humble in order to have that experience. Moses was considered the most humble man on the earth. That's how Moses was considered. He was considered the most humble man on earth. That's why everything he experienced, if you notice, he didn't think it was all about him. Look at all the stuff he did. He could have easily got full of himself. And then ain't nobody gonna front on him because they seen it. Ain't nobody gonna front. What you gonna say? You can't front on him like it happened. It was what it was, right? But he remained humble. That's why he was able to experience so much. But this is the story that people leave out about Moses. Moses didn't make it to the promised land. He didn't. Moses didn't make it to the promised land. That's the saddest part about Moses. And it was his fault. It wasn't because he was old. Some people might hear that and think, oh, well, he was old, he didn't make it. Nah, he wasn't. Nah, he didn't go to the promised land because he struck a rock in anger. And some people will say, well, God should have forgave that. No, God don't play no games, buddy. See, God knows what Moses' heart was and everything. He knows more about that situation than we do. So, you know, but he didn't make it to the promised land for that reason. He seen it, he got to see it, but he didn't get to go into it. He died outside of it. You would think close as God was to Moses, this is what make you humble, no pun intended. Moses didn't even make it to the promised land. That's what preachers don't preach on. Moses did not make it. And it was his own fault. He could have lived. It wasn't because he was old. He could have lived and got there. He made a mistake. He made one mistake and it was over. Wow. If that don't wake you up as a Christian, I'm talking about as a Christian. If that don't wake you up, I don't know what else will. He made one bad mistake and listen, Moses lost everything. That's what people don't talk about. They always talk about David losing stuff. Let's talk about Moses. Moses did not go to the promised land. All that he did, all that stuff he did. Fasted for 40 days, 40 nights. All that stuff, man. Look at all the stuff he did. Some people will feel like, man, I fasted for 40 days, 40 nights, I ain't make it. But look, in a funny way, that's what made Moses even more humble. Because most people would have went ahead and just died. Like, man, you know what I'm saying? I did all of this. I even go back to Pharaoh. You think about all the stuff you did with Pharaoh, everything. Egypt, all that stuff you went and did. Crossed the Red Sea, everything. Think about it. You as a man of God, you gonna think about all of this. Like, man, God didn't let that go. Nah, God didn't let it go. See, that's why I don't play with God, buddy. But you know what made Moses? You know what made Moses humble? He still loved God. He ain't turned his back. See, some Christians, you would have turned your back right there, buddy. And some people would have felt you. Some people say, well, I feel him though, you know, because he did all that stuff. But see, that's how man gonna think. That's how man gonna think. A humble servant gonna say, you know what? It's what it is. I still love God. Moses he's in heaven right now. That's what Moses is thinking about. Well, I'm gonna be in heaven. Moses thinking, well, I'm definitely going to heaven, so hey, I'm gonna let that go. Oh well. He probably was tired anyway. He probably was tired. I'm gonna let that go. I'm going to heaven. But that's what should humble you, man. If Moses didn't make it, like that's like I can't stress this enough. That's the story that people don't talk about. That's the part of the story people don't talk about. They'll talk all in terms of Moses being a deliverer and all of that, this, that, and third. But when it comes to Moses didn't make it, you notice nobody talks about that. Moses did not make it to the promised land, man. He did not make it, and it was his fault. It was his fault. If that don't humble you, I don't know what else will, man. I don't know what else will. You know, that should put the fear of the Lord in you right there. You know what I'm saying? Like Moses did all that stuff. I agree with God. I'm going to ride with God. That's what make you humble. I'm going to ride with God on whatever decision he make or whatever I seen done in the Bible. Your human nature going to tell you, man, seemed like Moses should have made it. All that stuff he did. Seemed like he should have made it though. Nah, he ain't make it. He ain't make it. God didn't let it go. That's why I see, as soon as you think as a gang stalker or a witchcraft person that God will forgive you, this is why I want to do a whole study on the nature of God. Because you can't make up your own nature of God, and that's what you're going to do. As a human being, you're going to be inclined to make up your own personal God and how you think he would respond to you, to life, and life in general. You're going to make up your own God on life in general. And you're going to apply everything that consists of life in general, and you're going to have all the answers on how God would do things. And you're going to have to go to the Bible and see the real nature of God. Where like with Moses, he didn't forgive it. So you realize, oh, that's how God is. Yeah, that part. So then when you think you gonna gang stalk people and use witchcraft, you lose. One bad decision right there, buddy, boom. And why you think why you would have forgave it and let it go because it was a misunderstanding. You felt it was a misunderstanding, right? God ain't gonna let it go, buddy. That's what I'm trying to show you. That's what I'm trying to show you, bro. Okay, because I gave you my condition. My condition is my money. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think you take me seriously. Not the way. See, you can take people seriously in some ways, but not in the way you should be taking them seriously. Out of every way you should be taking me seriously, you should be taking me seriously as being a threat against you for what you've done. And you already see that I'm spiritual, right? And I'm asking for my money. You should be taking me seriously every time I talk about it. But you don't. So the nature of God is going to surprise you. You're going to be surprised. Listen, mark my words. You're going to be surprised when you realize the real nature of God. Not this nice, jolly good fella like Santa Claus. Nah, God ain't Santa Claus, buddy. I'm here to give you gifts. I'm here to get... Now, God ain't like that. I'm here to give you gifts. I'm here to give you gifts. That ain't God, buddy. See, the God in your head, I'm here to give you gifts. I'm here to give you gifts. I'm here to give you gifts. And I'm not mocking God. I'm showing you how you are. It's not God. I've made it clear it's not God. God is not here to give you gifts, bruh. You listen. Moses made one bad decision, and he didn't make it. He didn't make it to the promised land. If you use witchcraft against a man, you had time to repent. You had time to let it go. This dude told you to get his money. You've seen this dude. You're almost entertained by this dude at this point, but you're still playing games about his money. You think God gonna forgive it? No, He's not. While you might think, oh man, well, God should let that go because we really didn't know. We really didn't know that his brother was lying. He was really making this up for a woman. He was doing, basically in essence, you have been manipulated for a woman. And I don't care what else is true and not true. I don't care what else is true and not true. That part. It's a million stories that's true and it's a million stories that's not true. Okay? I don't care about stories that's true and not true. I care about this person starting this for a woman. It's not for any other reason. You know how people can do something for more than one reason, right? This was done for one reason. Now you see what I'm talking about. Even besides that, check what I said. Because it wasn't done for what you was told about. It wasn't done for that reason. So that tells you the nature of what happened. Whatever you've been told. Listen, I can say before God, that was not the reason why this was done. No, it wasn't. It wasn't the reason this was done. This was done for a woman. This was done, God knows this. This was done because of a woman, man. That's what I'm trying to show you. I don't play with God. I know this is what this is about. And I know that God cares that this is about this. Not about all this, all these other facts are non-facts. It doesn't matter. We're going about what, not you add and what you're talking about other parts of your life. No, we want to know what provoked you. And you know what it was? His wife, jealous. He was jealous over his wife. Now, even if you are a hideous creature of a person, I don't know too many people that can digest that kind of truth and still be on a mission like this. When you realize this was about a woman, and here's the truth of the situation. This wouldn't have happened without that situation. It wasn't like he did this for multiple reasons, that he was mad about this and mad. He's lying to you. The stuff he telling you, he wasn't thinking nothing about that. Which means if his wife wouldn't have been attracted to me, you wouldn't have heard nothing. And in a smart way, that tells you how bad that really was and what that really was. Because we wouldn't even heard about it. So how bad was it really? Well, we wouldn't have heard about it. So how bad was it really? See, it tells you what it was. Because we wouldn't have heard about it unless this happened to you about that woman. If your wife wouldn't have been attracted to your brother, we wouldn't have heard nothing else about nothing. And that's what we gonna look at. See, that's how it's more than one way to skin a cat. And that's how we know what this is all about. It's all about a woman, buddy. And you wouldn't have said nothing about nothing if your little wife wouldn't have been attracted to your brother. And that tells us how you felt about the stuff you even talking about. That you wouldn't even say nothing about that stuff. He wouldn't have said nothing about it. And ask him that. Would you would have said something about this stuff? Would you if your wife wasn't attracted to your brother? I guarantee you, if he real with himself, he gonna say, I wouldn't have said nothing about that. And that tells us how bad it was. We gauge how bad it was. We measure what it was. Because you wouldn't even said nothing about it. Nope, you and your brother was good. You and your brother got in the car to shoot people. He told us. So right there, you and your brother had complete camaraderie. So how I'm gonna let you dig up something on them when you get mad, but you and your brother was about to shoot people in the car. Y'all got in the car with guns, just you and your brother, about to ride on somebody, spinning in the block looking for somebody. Okay, so right there, you and your brother had real brotherhood, right? He got in the car to go shoot somebody with you. So then that's when y'all was good, right? Right. So we don't want to hear nothing about the past, because right there we see y'all was good, as brothers can be. So let me ask you a question for the community of America. If you see two brothers come together to go shoot somebody, is when the other one, when one of them get mad at the other one, you gonna let him bring up something from the past. When you seen complete brotherhood right there. You gonna still let him have the luxury of when he get mad, he can still bring up something. But we just seen y'all two get in the car to go shoot somebody. So we know y'all got love for each other. Y'all both y'all both seem normal right there. Y'all are normal brothers right there. Well, y'all both got in the car to go shoot somebody. So you think I'm gonna let you dig up something on them after y'all both got in the car to shoot somebody? No. We gonna start right there because we know y'all had real brotherhood right there. I ain't gonna let you go talk about something he did in the past and y'all both got in the car and shoot somebody. Y'all both got in the car to shoot somebody. You think I'm gonna let you bring up something else? Think about how that looked. We know y'all was close enough. Y'all had real brotherhood when y'all both was in the car to go shoot somebody. Right. That shows you how you thought about him and how he thought about you. And you think I'm gonna let you dig up something when you get mad about his wife. When you get mad about your wife, you gonna think I'm gonna let you dig up something on the past when you and your brother got in the car to go shoot somebody and you can't deny it. See, all I had to do was show y'all real life. This was gonna be easy as cake. If I'm truly innocent, it's gonna be easy as cake because I'm gonna show you so many angles of the truth. How you gonna deny it? I can talk about this. I can talk about how he bought me a car. Okay, you brought your brother a car. You brought your brother a car, but you got something against him. So right there, once again, here's another sign of brotherhood. When you brought your brother a Cadillac, he brought me a car. My brother is the one that brought me a car. He bought it with money. So you gonna let him dig up the past after he buy me a car for money on my birthday? He buy me a car for my birthday. Now you see what I'm saying. I can just show you real life, over and over and over again. That's all I'm saying. You brought your brother a car and then you gonna let us dig up something on him? You gonna sick us on him like a dog when you get mad because your wife was attracted to him. But we know you, listen, we know you ain't had no problems with your brother. We know you loved your brother. We know y'all was together because you bought him a car. Not a car, a toy car, a real car. So then you was cool right there. So how you gonna have us out here when you and your brother was cool like that? When you and your brother had that kind of camaraderie, how you gonna have us out here? Y'all laughing together, got camaraderie. You buying him a car. You feel me? You buying him a car. Y'all got real camaraderie. Y'all all together and everything. But then when you get mad, you gonna have us out here. That's what I'm saying, Brad. That's what I'm saying. It's too much real life. That's what I try to tell you. He was the main reason y'all came out here. He was the main reason these mind readers and all these people out here. And that's the same person that bought me a car. Bought me a car. Oh, it get worse. You want more? You want more? When my son was born, he brought my son shoes and Jordans and designer clothes and everything. No, infant clothes when he was an infant. He brought infant shoes, infant shirts, infant clothes, infant pants. You gonna let that same person that showed love to my born child seeing what my sexuality is? Oh, it don't get no better than seeing what my sexuality is. When you realize it, because you buying clothes for my son, right? Right. You gonna let that same person that did that dig up something on the person. When that person is acknowledging this person's son like a baby shower, buying them gifts, he put it in gift clothes. He done bought me gift clothes and put it in a gift bag. You gonna let that same person turn around and act like that person victimized him? You gonna take that seriously? You gonna look at it that way? When he buying his son clothes, he bought him a car. He bought me a car. That's what I'm saying. What black man you know gonna take somebody seriously and he done bought that same person a car? That's what I'm telling you, bro. I told you what this was about and you keep playing. This was about a woman. Okay, that's common sense. Dudes ain't tripping about nothing but a woman and money. They don't care nothing about what they went through. I don't care nothing about what I went through. I was sexualized when I was 9 or 10 years old by an older cousin. You ain't see me try to do nothing to him. Okay, so then, whatever you could be talking about, I don't know. To defend myself, I don't really know what all you've been told. I don't know. But all I know is this. The truth is, this was about a woman. I'm going by the things you insinuate, but I know what that really was and what it really wasn't, right? And I know what it really is between me and my brother and what happened. He was mad about a woman. That's what it was. How I know? Because it was a rumor in the family that I slept with his wife. He the one that told everybody I slept with his wife. So you telling me that ain't what it was about? Of course, that's common sense. How is it a rumor? How did he go tell people I slept with his wife, but that ain't what's on his mind? That's not what it is. That is what's on his mind, bro. He ain't think about that. He's just using whatever he can. And you got played, man. That's what I'm saying. As soon as you would have told me he bought you a car, it's over with for me. That's evidence. That's real life. That shows you how that person felt about this person. This person bought him a car and everything? Bought his son clothes when his son was born? Okay, so you see, even if you felt he did something to you that victimized you, you seen him grow up and have a child and you acknowledge that, right? Boom. You acknowledged him as a fully grown man putting a child in the world, so you seen him grow from the point of what you complaining about whatever it is. You seen that. He got a child. He had a child before you did. You acknowledge that. So how you gonna look at him differently than what you acknowledging? And him being a father, him having a child, that's how you gonna see him. That's how you seen him. How we know? Because you bought his son clothes. He put clothes on my son's back. He put clothes on my son's back and y'all gonna come out here? You crazy, bro. That's all I'm saying. That's why I'm tripping off for you. He done put clothes on my son's back while he telling you whatever he telling you. Look at that. Look how that looks. You wouldn't be doing all of that. No, you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't. If you really felt somebody victimized you, you gonna be buying their son clothes and buying him a car? You ain't going that far. No, you not. You might be cool, but you ain't going that far. So that shows you the nature of everything that happens, basically for what it is. Because when you go that far, that shows you how cool you was with your brother. To where you bought him a car, you bought his son clothes and everything like that. Come on, man. And it's a whole history of other stuff I could go through, but I just wanted to point those things out. You know what I'm saying? So, I already know, man, what it's about, man. The big brother always gonna be able to show you things. You know what I'm saying? That's just what it is, man. So, these people that got me under surveillance and got us under surveillance, man, this is the truth. This is why God is not having no mercy, bro. This is why God is not having no mercy. Because God knows all of this. Think about how much more he knows he knows an infinite more than I know about this situation. It's more than God knows about it than I know. But Tremaine said this, it was all about success. Why he doing this? He told me this to my face in 2017. In 2017, Tremaine said this is all about success. Okay, ain't that what Illuminati promised on their website? Success. That's all he was doing. He was tied up with them taking their mission statement that it's all about success. I guarantee he used that term influenced by their website. I guarantee you. He told me to my face that we can kill somebody and get away with it. Who you think he was talking about? Me. He said, this is all about success. He said, it's all about success. Now, who you believe? He said it was all about success, referring to all this gang stalking and all these things. He said, it's all about success. He told me that to my face. God seen that. And that's the punchline. That's the end of the story, buddy. He told me to my face it was all about success. They have nothing to do with nothing else, buddy, except a woman. That part too. That part as well. So y'all just got played, man. And listen, you don't want to come to terms with it. And I can't help you with that. I can't help you. You don't want to come to terms with it, bro? I can't help you. I can't help you see the light. I can't help you see things. You got played, and it's easier to believe Allah didn't accept that you got played so bad. That's the part that you don't want to accept you got played so bad. That's what it is. And I can't listen. God is not gonna sit around and wait for you to accept what I'm saying. This is why you listen. This is why y'all in grave trouble. All these people, they in grave trouble, playing around my mind, trying to see if they can find a pedophile thought or some crazy stuff like that. Y'all in grave trouble when this was all about a woman. That's the whole conclusion with all that mind reading stuff and all the stuff they doing. It was all about a woman. You doing all this based on a hidden truth that you did, a hidden fact that it was all about a woman. And that don't apply to this situation. It don't apply to this situation. You see the trouble you in, buddy? You don't want this information to apply to this situation, do you? Oh yeah, it's all about a woman. That do apply to this situation. That's all I'm saying. You got played. It happens all the time in the hood. Street people gonna tell you, yeah, I done got played before. Not just in a relationship. You don't believe something that wasn't true. You done bought something from somebody. You ain't lived in the hood until you bought something from somebody that was trash. You got played. Everybody done bought something from somebody in the hood and you thought it was gold and you found out it wasn't no gold. That's the first thing gonna get you. You stand in the hood, you bought a piece of jewelry, it was fake. Everybody, you gonna spend cash money with somebody that done gave you, you done spend money with them and they done gave you something fake. We all got played like that, buddy. I done bought something. People done approached me, and I done bought something from them in the hood, right? In a decent place where the hood is at, where it's a place where the hood people at. Let's put it like that. This dude sold me something, and I thought it was real for sure. Man, come to find out, man, it just starts showing signs of being fake. It's the same. It happens. See, America got a hard time coming to terms with it. Black people, all the time, we get played. We get played all the time. It ain't hard for you to accept it. You know how our own people are. You know how Americans are. Whether they white or black, we get played by white people too. We get played by everybody in America. So it's not hard for a black person to come to terms with it. It's the white people that got the hang-ups. You the one can't believe it. It's harder for you to believe than black people. We get played all the time. You the one that's hung up on it. You got played, bro. That's it. That's all there is to it. And now look, you can't make me no scapegoat. God gonna be and took care of this whole country, boy, before this happens. Before something happened to me, because y'all got played. And ain't no way in the world God gonna let you live some other narrative. See, you thought people get killed all the time, ain't nothing gonna happen. That's how you looked at it. Not this time, buddy. You played with a prophet. You was too wrong about the situation too. That's what's so bad about it. You was absolutely wrong, got played. You got absolutely played. Okay? And you played around God's prophet getting played by somebody else. And you just can't outlive that. You can't outlive it, man. I told you to go get me a bag. That's all I wanted. That could have made the situation right with me. Now